happened?
I don't know.
Who ate the whole apple? What happened?
I don't know.
Allah ate it. Allah ate it.
Because he was too stupid.
Excuses.
Thousands. Who ate the apple? What happened?
I don't know.
Who ate the whole apple? What happened?
I don't know.
Allah ate it. Allah ate it.
Because he was too stupid.
Excuses.
Thousands. Who ate the apple? What happened?
I don't know.
Who ate the whole apple? What happened?
I don't know.
Allah ate it. Allah ate it.
Because he was too stupid.
Excuses.
Thousands. Who ate the apple? What happened?
All right. We are live. Welcome back to Reasoned Answers, your home for all the
crackhead clown individuals.
Today, we're going to be talking about an individual named Lubna. You may have heard that she was gaining popularity discussing issues within the Pakistani Muslim community of Great Britain. She was not criticizing the religion of Islam. She was not being... Basically, she was being extremely kind. I was going to say she wasn't being critical, but I mean, that is an understatement. She was being extremely kind, very nice, just saying, here's some things that we need to talk about, right? We need to address these issues within our community. She was a member of that community. I don't know if she personally identifies as Muslim, but she certainly has not come out and said that she is not a Muslim, right? There were some indications that she definitely disagreed with the community. Definitely disagreed with some of the practices in Islam, but she was quite clear that this was about individuals and people and cultural elements, not about the religion of Islam. Despite her being extremely kind and friendly, some Muslims decided that this is totally unacceptable. How dare you speak against these practices? How dare you speak against these things? How dare you invite us to have discussions about these issues? And because these people are cowards, because they know that Allah can't do anything, they know that their religion can't hold up to the slightest bit of scrutiny, instead of coming in to the open live stream she would have and discuss issues with her, they decided that they needed to find out where she lived and make threats, physical threats of violence. They showed up. We don't know the exact details. She didn't disclose the exact details, but the gist from what we've gathered is that some people showed up at her house, made some threats, and she had to call the police. And as a result of that, she has decided to not technically take down the channel, but take down all the videos except for a couple that are like about Christianity or about something totally unrelated to Islam. She had well over 100 videos. There's like 5 remaining on the channel as a result of these actions. She put out a fundraiser to move to a new location. I have a hope that once she's in a safe location, she's somewhere that she's not surrounded by Muslims, she'll resume her discussions. However, that is not what she's indicated she'll do. However, these stupid cowards, they may or may not have permanently shut her up, but they have brought a lot more attention to the issues that she's discussing. And guess what? We don't have to be quiet. They can't do anything to come after me. And Mary keeps her identity quite secret. In fact, she's in extra stealthy mode today. Welcome, Mary.
Yes, I am in extra stealthy mode today because I am not even at my house. I am at another house. So what's really interesting here is that Lubna has been absolutely emphatic about the fact that the disgusting and revolting and vile behaviors of Pakistani Muslims are not because they are Muslim, that because her theory goes like this: Islam is from God, therefore it is good, therefore these vile, disgusting, revolting things are non-Islamic and are cultural things that are part of the culture, and it's evil and we should stop doing it. The people who are terrorizing her disagree. They believe that these vile, disgusting, revolting things are entirely Islamic and how they are supposed to behave and how Islam teaches them to behave. Now, I would argue that they are much better educated about Islam than Lubna is. She is quite open about the fact that she does not really have much Islamic education, but she takes her stances from really kind of a basic principle sort of thing, that if Allah is good, Allah would be against this. But if Allah were a disgusting cave demon and a pervert and the enabler of one of the most horrific, disgusting, and depraved men in the history of the world, then Islam wouldn't be good. Islam would be evil. All of these evil, disgusting, revolting things would be a part of Islam. And so Muslims who know that these evil, revolting, disgusting, vile things are Islamic will do what? They will threaten and terrorize her, because that is also part of Islam. So it is my argument that poor Lubna just is extraordinarily ignorant of her religion. I mean, it's encouraged for women to be ignorant of their religion. They're only supposed to be knowledgeable about the things that they're supposed to do. They're not supposed to be knowledgeable overall. They're supposed to be ignorant because they are considered stupid. So women should be nice and ignorant of Islam, except for the very few things that they need to know to be good Muslim girls. And then beyond that, they're to know nothing. And these people who have studied Islam know that all the vile and disgusting things that have been happening are as a result of the Islamic teachings. So whenever she goes against rape gangs, she is going against Islam, not according to me, though also according to me, but according to the people who are terrorizing her. The people who are terrorizing Lubna are saying, no, Islam teaches rape gangs. You cannot go against rape gangs because that is Islam. And this is the point that I want everybody to have, that Islam does teach all the vile, revolting, disgusting things that she is against. Whether or not people like Lubna know it. Though there are the people that she calls good apples, they're the people who are ignorant of their religion or reject portions of their religion. The religion itself is as revolting as the terrorists who showed up at her house know it to be. And so every vile thing that she's speaking against, she's like, I'm not speaking against Islam. Well, the terrorists think you are. Why? Because they know their religion.
Igor says, I disagree. The jihadists are actual Muslims following the Quran and the Hadith. Without punctuation, this is a little ambiguous, but I think you're saying you disagree, period. The jihadists are actual Muslims. And we would agree with that, right? To the extent that anyone can properly follow the very confusing, contradictory, ambiguous teachings of Muhammad, the jihadists are certainly doing their best to correctly follow those teachings. This is true Islam, right? This is what the religion is all about. At least if we're to say that what Muhammad said is the reality of what Islam is, then I would agree that they are more closely following it. By the way, I have a new audio set up today, so let me know if it's the same, better, or worse. Preferably after the stream or late in the stream when you've had a lot of time to compare, as opposed just a couple sentences. Jack says, all right, more attention. Yeah, exactly. More attention coming to these issues that they have resorted to terrorism. And make no mistake about it, the actions are the definition of terrorism, right? A private individual not acting on the behalf of a government, making threats doing government-like actions, right? Is especially threats of violence or actual acts of violence is the definition of terrorism. So make no mistake, this is an act of terrorism that has been committed against Lubna. Do the UK police care? I don't know. Maybe they'll investigate it. Maybe they won't. But the reality is terrorism has occurred here. And my plan today, we're going to look at her kind of goodbye live stream and especially what happened late in that stream. And then my plan going forward, I've obtained transcripts from our videos. Obviously, the videos are no longer available, but I've obtained the transcripts for them. And guess what we're going to be doing? We're going to be talking a lot about the issues that got her into so much trouble, right? Got her into hot water with these scumbag losers who are afraid that their God can't defend himself. We're going to be talking about those issues, bringing more attention to them. And if a wannabe jihadist, a coward, decides that they're going to attack her because other people are talking about the issues, then we will just escalate.
Is it working?
It will turn into acts that a Muslim will consider to be horrific. Let's put it that way. Right now, we're just going to be talking about the issues, right? That's how we're elevating it first. We're just going to talk about the same issues, and we're not going to be kind and friendly and be like, oh, the problem isn't Islam. It's just certain bad people, because the problem is Islam, and we don't have a problem saying that. But if they decide, oh, we need to shut you up too, it ain't going to work. And we're just going to dial it up and dial it up until you beg for mercy, because you are the dimmies here. We have all the power in this relationship. You can't do anything to hurt me. You have no power over me, but I have power over you because I understand your fragile little pathetic emotions that are motivated by your distrust in your fake God and your fake prophet. Anything else you want to say, Mary?
I do want to remind everyone that Thaddeus is now doing this full time. So if you appreciate his work, please support him on Patreon or Subscribestar or subscribe here. So because he lost his job because another terrorist group went against him for doing what? Talking about Islam.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
they had power. They had power to get me fired from my job, but now I don't have a job. They have absolutely no power over me. They can do nothing to stop me. We here in the United States have strong legal protection. In the UK, the police might be afraid to arrest you for your acts of terrorism because they're afraid of being called racist or Islamophobic. Yeah, the American police aren't like that, right? America does not put up with this nonsense. You have no power here. You have no power over me or Mary. Thank you. And we did have Jack Ray stepping up with the financial support, gifting 20 Reasoned Answers memberships.
Wasting your time on social media is one of the best deeds a Muslim can do. There's a huge need for it. You know this and I know this. So that makes the reward even greater. So give generously and Allah Azza wa Jal will give you even more.
Thank you very much, Jack Ray. And apparently it's working, right? Apparently Allah is giving him more and more in return because he keeps coming back and donating time and time again. Demon Soul asked if either of us have reached out to Lubna. I have not done that yet, but I will do so. Now, I don't suspect that she will be interested in the immediate future of coming on this channel or any other channel for that matter.
Yeah,
However, once she has
literally-
relocated, right? I think she's going to spend the next couple of weeks relocating. That's her primary focus, as well as it should be, right? That definitely should be. She has a young child to protect, or 2 young children to protect. She needs to look after her family first. But once she's safe, she very well might be interested in some more publicity. We'll see.
And also, I've been subscribed for a long time, but I didn't want to invite her and possibly endanger her more because they'll be like, it's proof the Christians are the ones who don't want to terrorize and kill her. Therefore, she is a Christian or some nonsense like that. So, I don't want to put her in more danger from the jihadis who basically run
If you're still talking, it cut out. Oh, we just lost Mary. All right, entirely. And now you've lost my picture as well. Lovely. Let me fix that. At least get me back up here. But Mary disconnected for one reason or another. She's not at home, so she can't say that I have great internet, perhaps. Like she's always like, oh, my internet never fails. But, Mary's back.
Well, we both buffered. We both buffered on the main one. Looks like. I'm also in a completely different place. I don't know whether or not other people saw buffering.
Yeah,
But
I don't
saw
know for
buffering
sure
on
about the
YouTube.
audience, but you dropped entirely. So
Ah.
I think that
Oh, nope. There was buffering and then it dropped. So I think that was entirely my my connection. Let's see where we are now. Huh. Well, I'm in a different state right now. So this is not my usual connection. So I have an excuse.
in any case, has Druba said, where do we support you, Thaddeus? So you have several options to do that. They're all linked in the video description. You can support here on YouTube via channel membership or super chats. You can support via Patreon or Subscribestar in a monthly reoccurring donation, or you can use PayPal for one-time donation. So many options to support. If you are unable or don't want to support financially, you can also, the number one thing you can do to support is when you see my videos on your YouTube homepage, to click on them and watch the entire video. You can also share the videos with others. That is super helpful for promoting them. And what I mean by greatest thing you can do is just watch the whole video. That's exactly how YouTube decides whether they show videos to other people or not, based on how many people click on it and how much percentage of the video they watch after they click on it. So those two things are how YouTube decides whether to spread the videos to new audiences. Positive Vibes says, why were you fired then, Thaddeus? I think this might have been an allusion to they have no power over me. I was fired for criticizing Islam. Well, more accurately, I was fired for telling the truth about Islam, criticizing things like child marriage and the oppression of women in Islam. And as a result of that, a social justice warrior decided that she would take it upon herself to get me canceled. And she went to the press. She first tried to appeal to my employer through a human resources complaint. That didn't work. So then she went to the press, managed to find a reporter who CARE describes as a great asset to them. In other words, someone...
tool. They call her a tool. She is
Yes.
a tool of CARE, according to CARE, at a function that she showed up at. She proudly bears the label pathetic tool of CARE, although I think I added the pathetic.
They probably
But they
didn't
called her
say
a tool.
pathetic. They probably said wonderful tool. But in any case, someone who is highly sympathetic to CARE and has published their propaganda in the past, and she published some additional propaganda, made up outright lies about me, slanderous statements. Now, the standard for proving slander in the United States is very high. The paper could easily argue that they are technically true, even though they are highly, highly deceptive, and no reasonable person would read them in the way that it could be read as technically true. Because of the article published in the newspaper, by public, I mean elected officials, pressure was put on my employer to fire me, and they relinquished in the pressure and fired me. But guess what? I don't have a job now, so no power over me, and I don't regret anything I did. I always knew that it was a possibility. Now, I imagine it would be a Muslim who got upset at a stream that would go to my employer, not some social justice warrior left-wing nutcase. But in fact, what's the difference, right? What's the difference between, we're for equality for everyone, and 100 different genders, and blah, 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 and violently killing anyone who is not a heterosexual good Muslim? I mean, what's the difference between those two ideas? But in any case, I was always prepared that was a possibility, made accommodations, made sure I had plenty of savings to fall back on, and now we're giving YouTube a full-time try. I obviously don't have unlimited resources.
Yes,
I have
and my
money
question
for the
for
near
it-
term, but I don't have unlimited resources.
Yep.
So if we're going to do this long-term, full-time, I will need your financial support. and appreciate the very many people who have stepped up after I've been fired and done exactly that.
And my question for Danae King is, why does she support the terrorists coming to Lubna's house and threatening her? Because she does. She is a tool of care. So she supports this as a tool of an Islamic extremist group. That means by default that she supports this. So why does Danae King of the Columbus Dispatch support terrorists coming to the house to of someone who criticizes rape gangs and threatening her life and threatening the lives of her children? Why is Danae King such a fan of Islamic rape gangs? Because she is, or else she wouldn't be writing the things she does.
Indeed. And I have tagged her many times on Twitter, as well as other people have. Very many people got on Twitter and asked her why she was getting me fired, asked her if she supported this or that thing that's in Islam, and she just ignored it all, of course. Freitag says, I'm not right-wing, but I often feel an urge to jump out of the window when my teachers get too yappy about social justice. Yeah, I don't consider myself right-wing either. I consider myself to be fairly apolitical. That's not to say I don't vote or anything like that, but I'm not all that interested in politics. I think that there's plenty of crooks on both sides of the aisle. And yet, it's only one particular type of person that is constantly like, oh, we gotta let the Muslims do whatever they want to us. So there you go. And I just explained the whole story, Positive Vibes. So I don't know why you didn't understand, but I also have 2 videos telling the whole story. So check those out if you are still confused. Pete says, and now Thaddeus turns it up to 11. Their perfect plan backfired. Exactly, right? There's unintended consequences, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. The unintended consequences of canceling Lubna. So without further ado, let's get her video shared. Like I said, we're going to be looking at her final live stream, her goodbye to the community, to the people who had been supporting her and whatnot, explaining what had gone down. And we just lost Mary again, and now Mary's back again. So Mary's in and out, it seems. And let's see what happened. I need to fix this. Yep, I know. So it assigned your slot to the video when you when you left.
So she's just like attending.
Yes. All right. There we go. Fixed that. Let's share that so Mary can see it, and fix the audio so it's not messed up for Mary. All right. Here we go.
So guys, I have just scheduled this live on YouTube last minute, so I'm not expecting anyone to join me. Literally just scheduled this now. And I thought I wanted to give you guys an update on the situation. So some of you guys may have noticed that across both of my YouTube channels, I have taken down videos. The majority of the videos. And my life is basically at risk. I'm gonna cut to the chase. My life is at risk. I've taken my videos down on both of my channels. I've just left literally a few of them. And I'm still shaking from last night's experience. I've involved the police, and I can't share everything with you guys for obvious reasons, because it's not just my supporters watching this. It's everybody else, the whole world, and they don't necessarily have the best interest. So I am shaking still.
So go ahead and pause it there. She doesn't go into any precise details, but for her to call the police, there had to be an actual physical confrontation. She will later state that in the past, she's just like turned in like email death threats or whatever, just turned them over to the police. That she has talked to them in the past, but she had to actually call them and have them come out because someone, I think, showed up at her house, right? Someone showed up and, or at least was in the vicinity looking for. Maybe they didn't have the exact apartment number or address or whatever, but they're in the vicinity. They knew approximately where she lived and were asking questions. There was definitely some actual intimidation, if not threat, going on. And I'm not sure if Mary doesn't have anything to say or she's on mute without realizing it.
Nope, I have nothing to say. I've just nodded
Okay,
in
cool.
agreement. Yep.
All righty, cool.
I had a very sleepless night, and this will be an emotional live. So when I started this YouTube channel, I wanted a YouTube channel. I wasn't sure what I'm going to speak about. And as most YouTubers, I slowly started experimenting with different subjects. But all the subjects that I was speaking about wasn't what I wanted to speak about. And then I started speaking about what I really, really wanted to. And then I was surprised that people want to hear my voice and they are interested as well. And then I built a community here. I've done public lives with you guys. A lot of you guys have been my supporters for a long time. And I think,
I'm just going to pause it there real quick because there's a comment from Peter. Lubna is special. So many Christians followed her. She was definitely something was definitely special happening with the channel. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I had never watched her content, but all of a sudden I was seeing her videos in my recommendations constantly, right? That YouTube, she reached a point where YouTube was like, this is a really hot channel. I'm going to push this to a much wider audience. And lots of people were paying attention. Channel, I haven't looked at the exact stats, but I am quite certain that the channel growth had taken off in the last month or so. And as a result, a lot more attention from people who are not so happy came as well.
we've built something good here that is positive. The intent has always been good, is to unite people. Sadly, the tolerance levels within the community, the Muslim and Pakistani community, is generally very, very low. We all know this. So although my intentions were good, I was calling it the bad apples only, not the good ones. I never said anything bad about the good ones, of course, because they're good. I was talking about the bad people, and I was condemning it because I felt as if, do you know what? Maybe people think all of us are like this because I was listening to the feedback, and the feedback was we're not condemning it enough. And that's all I was doing. I've never ever criticized a religion. I've never done any of that kind of stuff. But sadly, because
pause
the
it
type
here.
of people I'm
Again, she is speaking against practices that she believes that the quote unquote bad apples, that bad Muslims are doing this, that bad people who identify as Muslims, who are evil people who are just happen to identify as Muslims are doing this. The people who came to her house believe that the people who are doing this are the good Muslims. She has steered very, 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 very far from actually learning her religion, because I believe that she knows in her heart that her religion is a religion of the quote unquote bad apples, that she doesn't want to know the evil things that she is supposedly, that she's obligated to do, that she's supposed to do, that she's supposed to work to try to destroy any society that she is part of that is not part of the house of submission, of the house of surrender. So, when she speaks against what she sees as abusive practices, those who know the religion better go, this is what Islam teaches. Islam is the evil. All these things that she points to and says that's evil, that is Islam. And it's not, is me interpreting this for her, but I'm not the one who showed up to her house. Muslims showed up to her house because they believe that she is speaking out against what Islam is. And I guarantee they know their religion better than she does.
So we have Stop Bullying Me in the chat, who insists that Lubna is two-faced because Christian Prince said so. Well, I mean, I don't normally make comments like this, but let's be honest here. Christian Prince attacks everyone. He constantly has a problem with all kinds of Christians. I would hardly consider him a reliable source. He is a lone wolf who wants to stay that way. He doesn't want to work with anyone else, which is quite frankly not very Christian, right? I mean, it's one thing to not want to work with others, but it's quite another to constantly be attacking other people doing this ministry, saying that, they're not doing it properly and whatnot. And frankly, I think that Christian Prince is a little two-faced. So I'm not saying that I'm against him. I'm not saying that you should unsubscribe, but I think it's a little ironic for you to be saying, oh, Christian Prince didn't like her. Yeah, well, she's not a Christian, right? She's certainly not a Christian. She's kind of a Muslim. I would say that it's worthwhile to elevate someone from within the community, pointing these things out.
And
You
Christian
disagree? Don't
Prince's
listen to
point,
her. I mean,
well, I didn't watch the whole thing because I don't watch a lot of Christian Prince because he usually makes the same repeated points. But Christian Prince's point is that you say you're not against Islam. However, Islam teaches the things that you're against. It was a Christian saying it at this time, that Christian Prince was saying that you are against what? You are against what Islam actually teaches. That's why he called her two-faced, because Islam does teach these things. And she's saying that, we don't have to be this way. He's like, well, your sources say you do. If it were just Christians saying this, you might say possibly, oh, the Christians are misinterpreting. But no, the reason that she was attacked is because Muslims who are knowledgeable about their religion say the same thing. I do think that there is a lot of resistance in Lubna to not learn about her religion, because her religion actually does teach these evil things, and part of her knows that it does. So as long as she can hold on to the Islam is the religion of God and God is good, she can just make up everything else.
Mhm.
Now, if you want to tell me why I am two-faced, tell me. Why am I two-faced? What have I done
Well,
that is two-faced?
it's not you are
Point it out.
two-faced, Mary. It's that
I have one.
that you possess two faces, I guess, because this is your possessive. This guy who, is in here to tell us how stupid we are and whatnot, doesn't even know basic English. So stop bullying me. You don't like my content. You don't like me. Then the door's right over there. See yourself out. I'm not going to block you or time you out or anything. I'm just saying, if you don't like me, if you're laughing out loud at me, then by all means, see yourself out. You don't like this content? Don't watch it. It's very simple. You don't like Lubna? Don't watch her. I personally think that we need to stand up when Islamists, regardless of who they're attacking, come for someone. If they come for a Muslim, we should stand up against them. If they come for an atheist, we should stand up against them. If they come for a Christian, we should stand up against them. Because standing up to Islamicists is how we put an end to this nonsense. Being like, she's not a Christian. She's not a member of my community. I don't care. They can kill her all they want. Is pathetic. And
so again, you have one chance, Tommy, and stop bullying me. You foul creatures like your demon prophet from hell.
Yeah.
You may tell me before you get banned, or at least you may not speak again.
Out,
yeah.
Which is fine.
Oh, whoops. Well, when you come back, you can tell me.
Stop bullying me. I'm
whether
sorry
or not
that Jack Ray timed you out.
Yep.
Because we hadn't warned you. But you need to if you want to come in here and you want to criticize me, go right ahead. But you want to come in here and spew nonsense and spew insults, what is the point?
Hang on.
What is the point?
What I want them both to answer, and they can't.
Well, as far as Tommy's on a completely different level. So let's
they're both ridiculous, and they're both trying to be off topic and distracting. So what I want both of them.
Well, no, stop bullying me. It's not really off topic.
Whether or not, hang on, whether or not, well, stop bullying is not off topic. He's just being disruptive. Whether or not Islamic gangs in a country that is in the house of war are acting wrongly when they go out and target and rape British girls. Tell me whether or not the rape gangs are un-Islamic. Yes or no? And then tell me why.
So
that's
Tommy here says, I will get banned soon from chat, so please search about missing verses in the Bible in internet. Instead of doing that, I mean, you could do that if you want. All you're going to find is that some verses that were never really part of the text, but were found in a few late manuscripts. In some translations, they've chosen to take those out by putting them in footnotes and saying this verse is not found in the most ancient manuscripts. That's what he's actually talking about. But while you're at it, please be sure to search for the missing verses of the Quran, which, according to Sahih Hadith, according to Islamic scripture, in other words, we're lost. We're forgotten.
We're at least
tossed
a
aside.
third.
Goats ate
Yeah.
them. People forgot
hundreds.
them. All the people who memorized them were killed. Many different ways that verses of the Quran were killed. Actual surahs, entire surahs were lost, except for one verse that someone remembered, which also isn't in the Quran. It's only in the Hadith. So if you're going to be talking about missing verses, be sure to tell me all the verses of the Quran that are missing. And then tell me why, according to the Sahih Hadith, that the statement, no person should ever say he has memorized all of the Quran, because that's impossible. They should only say I've memorized what is available to me, because a lot of it's lost, according to your sources, not according to me, according to your sources. Stop lying, Thaddeus. Well, I haven't started lying, so I guess I can't stop.
And I threw little Missy in timeout because she's just coming in and arguing. You need to come up with facts and information. Facts and information.
And Tommy, I have told you multiple times, I will reply to your email when I have time. I was very, very busy this week. It's not even hard to figure out why. I was literally on a stream every day this week, and I put out 2 scripted videos this week. I was very busy. I will reply to you when I have time. In fact, I would have replied to you, except you came and started insulting me to try to provoke me to reply faster, and I told you just delayed your reply. So there you go. You can be patient and you can wait for a reply, or you can be off topic today and be timed out. Those are your
Tommy,
options.
you did not answer my question whether or not Islamic rape gangs targeting the non-Muslim girls and the House of War is un-Islamic. Why did you not answer this? Because you know it is Islamic. You know, Islam teaches this.
And don't worry, Tommy. I'm going to have you on for a discussion on whatever topic you want. I haven't read your most recent email. I read your first couple and replied to them, I believe. Maybe not. Maybe I didn't read the first one. I might be confusing you with someone else. But regardless, I'll reply to all of your emails within the next couple days, and we'll schedule a discussion. But if you come on to the discussion and you just want to like yell and scream, it won't be a very long one. A discussion's actually a discussion, and you'll be challenged to bring evidence for your position. Until that time happens, however, you need to be on topic in chat. All right. Let's get some more of Lubna then.
Trying to get through to, they have low tolerance. And I think maybe even intellectually, they're not necessarily ready for what I have to offer.
Hey, she just described you, Tommy.
I don't think it's worth it for me. I think I've done my part, and you know, I've tried my best to unite people. I've tried my best to be a bridge between the different communities. The psychology is very different. I've tried my best. That's all I could say.
All right, there you go. That she's tried her best to build bridges, as she would say, to make non-Muslims more understanding of the Pakistani community specifically, and to make the Pakistani community more understanding of the native British perspective. And for her efforts to unite people in peace and love, she has been vehemently attacked and canceled by British people. No, by Muslims, right? By the very people that she's trying to help. Her own community has turned on her because she dared say some things that were ever so slightly mean. Crazy stuff.
And keep in mind that
Although
here
I-
she is trying to tell people, hey, I am Muslim identifying, and I think that these things are evil that these people are doing, and that is not what Islam teaches. And what happens? Men come to our house to shut her up because no, this is what Islam teaches. Stop saying that we should not do these things. And notice, Lubna called CP a coward for not showing his face. Ha ha! Why did she say that? Because she is massively ignorant of religion. She assumed that Muslims wouldn't come and try to murder him. Whereas he has the intelligence to realize, because he knows the religion better than she does, that they absolutely would come and try to murder him. They have effectively shut her up because she was so wrong about Islam. She believed that Islam could be something other than vile, foul, and revolting. And she wanted to prove that Muslims could be decent people and still be Muslims. And the actual adherent Muslims who know about the religion are like, no, we must be foul, we must be vile, shut her up, make her silenced. And they were effective. Why? Because she's been showing her face. She was foolish enough to show her face to vile, filthy Muslims who will come to her house, threaten her life, and possibly kill her. Because that is what Islam teaches. Turn on your volume. Stop bullying me, you pathetic coward, and listen to me. If you do not reply saying, I am listening and I hear you, you will just be banned because you are not listening.
Yeah, I mean, he asked you to, he kept spamming, answer me, as you'd already been answering him for like 2 minutes. So I suspect either he's way behind on the stream and doesn't realize it, or he has his volume off. And the irony here, oh, no answer. Yeah, no answer. The irony here is stop bullying me is coming in here to bully, right? He wants to be an attack dog. He wants to be this vicious little guy in the chat who's going to call us out. This is pathetic. You have the answer, stop bully. You have the username, stop bullying me. I guess because you think whenever you come in, and to Tommy, you were timed out, not banned, because you were off topic.
And
Very
Stop
simple.
Bullying Me has been banned because he would not reply as to whether or not he was behind, and he is not listening.
All right. Stop bullying me. I would say that I would have timed him out again, but whatever. He was only in here to cause trouble. I doubt he watches Christian Prince, frankly. I think he's probably a Muslim who's just trying to sow division. But if he does watch Christian Prince, and this is the behavior that he's learned from Christian Prince, that reflects very poorly on Christian Prince, not
Oh, he's
on
not. Heaven's sake, this is a Muslim. Stop Bullying Me is a pathetic Muslim. That's what it is. And I think I know who it is too. I think it's Mahmoud again.
Nah, it wasn't really his style. I mean, the Stop Bullying Me name by itself is his style, but the other comments weren't really his style at all. I think it was just some new loser, probably some hijab fan who is like crying inside because of how badly hijab has been destroyed by this channel, and now he's trying to get revenge. That would be my guess. But I'm sure that Christian Prince probably did say some comments critical of her.
No, he did, because what he was critical specifically that she is not knowledgeable about Islam, and it pulled up Islamic texts as proof and things like that. I didn't listen to the whole thing. I skipped through. But he's like,
yeah, I mean,
he's saying that you don't have to be like this if you're Muslim. But here is proof that you do.
Clear, yeah. So to be clear, as a public figure, she's open to criticism.
Yeah.
But Christian Prince has also, criticized people like Apostate Prophet and said that his conversion to Christianity doesn't seem all that genuine to him, which I think is completely inappropriate thing to say. And he's attacked various other individuals who are doing work for the kingdom as well.
Yeah.
And that's his prerogative, right? That's his ability, but that's not something I support. I don't support attacking other Christians doing this work. The only thing I will call someone out for is either like some abuse of, women, or abuse of their power, or their church leadership role, or anything along those lines, something clearly immoral and unethical, or attacking fellow Christians. Those are the two things that I'll call someone out. on. I will not call someone out on, I slightly disagree on this doctrinal point, so I'm going to cancel them and destroy them. But I will call people out for inappropriate behavior. And frankly, I think that Christian Prince sometimes engages in inappropriate behavior.
Just to be clear, in this case, his issue with her is that he felt that she was misrepresenting Islam, and he felt that she knew what Islam actually teaches. I don't think she does. But I think that some of that is deliberate. She doesn't want to know what Islam teaches because she doesn't want to find out that it teaches these horrible things, because that would cause a major crisis of identity for her. So, and yes, she said, he doesn't show his face. Yeah, because guess what? He's right about Islam and you're wrong, Lubna. He's right. He's right. That's why he doesn't show his face.
Yeah, and I think it was a stupid thing for her to... I think she may have learned why Christian Prince doesn't show his face, right? I think that
it actually shows that she was sincere in her ignorance before, right? That she thought that this would be some kind of reasonable point to make. That, like, she didn't see the danger until it happened to her because she is ignorant. Tommy still has not replied, and I don't think he's listening. So he's about to go and time out again. All right.
Yep. So Tommy, again, and I'm going to put this in chat as well.
He's not
listening. You will be timed out from now on. You will be timed out immediately as soon as you give an off-topic comment. There'll be no further warnings. I'm not going to ban you because you haven't like spammed or been vile or anything like that, but I don't tolerate off-topic comments during my streams because that is just you trying to change the subject because you're uncomfortable with the subject we're talking about. So just give me 1 second to put that in the chat.
Already did. Beat you to
it. Well, I was like hitting enter as you said that. Anyway, let's continue with the video.
We'd want to stick it out for this year. My son wanted me to get 100k subscribers. He wanted me to get the YouTube button. But, I was like, the experience that I've had last night, where I had to call the police. And again, I can't give details. I can't continue talking about the stuff that I talk about. And frankly speaking, I don't want to. I think it's been very clear to me the last couple of years, as my age is increasing, that I've outgrown the community that I'm from. I've outgrown them. Okay, I'm not saying that they're amazing people, fantastic. I wish them good luck. I wish the Pakistani community good luck. I wish the Muslim community good luck. I feel that within me, I've had a battle for a long time. And frankly speaking, I've outgrown my community. So I've done my part trying to help be a bridge and all that kind of stuff. But if they don't appreciate it, if they don't want to hear, anything from me, then there's no point of me continuing with this, especially when my life is at risk. There are people that think it's okay to harm someone, even though I haven't done any blasphemy. Then I've never criticized a religion. Even then, they just, they don't necessarily feel that I should have a voice and say what I'm saying. So what I'd like to tell these people that I'm out. I'm not going to be talking about the Muslim community, the Pakistani community. I wish you guys good luck. Stop trying to come after me and harm me. I'm a single parent.
So I'm going to pause it there. Make it very clear to all the jihadists who want to harm her, all the wannabes sitting behind their keyboards who think they can send her threats. You won on paper. You have convinced her that it's not worth it. It's not worth making these criticisms against your false God and your false prophet while not actually saying them against your false God and your false prophet, saying them against the community, saying that these are bad apples, because you guys know it's part of Islam. She might not know. She legitimately might believe that Allah is good and Islam is good, but you know that what she's criticizing is part of your religion. And as a result, you're quite incensed. How dare you say that raping children is wrong? Allah gave us the right to rape children, and so on and so forth. But you didn't actually win, did you? all you did is draw so much more attention to her, and by consequence, to the things she's talking about. Again, I have obtained transcripts of her videos. I'm going to be going through the ones that bother you the most, right? The ones that you really, really wanted pulled down. And unlike her, Mary and I will be providing the sources to show you that this is part of Islam, that these vile, disgusting things that you didn't like her opposing and saying that it's just bad apples, it's not Islam, are in fact Islam, as you yourselves know. So congratulations, you accomplished additional attention to the problems with your religion by doing this.
You showed us that you believe that all of this foulness, all of this evil is Islamic. You did this because you believe it's Islamic, and now you have publicly declared that all evil, all of this foul stuff, is truly Islamic and is genuinely Islamic and comes from Islam.
Mm-hmm. Demon Soul says, I burned a Quran because of what the Muslims did to her. At this point, I'm elevating by making her message louder. If you continue to go after her, despite her backing down and saying, I'm not going to talk about this, then there will be further consequences. You cannot win by violence and intimidation. There are plenty of us who will not back down, and you just give us double the motivation to go after your false God and your false prophet. So I suggest that any dumbass Muslims who are listening to this and be like, oh, we'll show her. She backed down. Now we will make her life so much worse. You are just bringing about your own destruction by doing that.
And so I need to let these people know that I'm not going to be making the content that I was making. I'll talk about, I'm not saying I'm not going to be on YouTube. I will be on YouTube, but I'll just talk about general topics, general stuff. You know, I'll give less of my opinion. I'll talk about general stuff. So there's stuff that I don't talk about on this channel because obviously everyone's watching. I've said that my critics watch as well. Around 6-7 months ago, I had to make a decision between my job, which was high paying, and this channel.
But before she gets into the decision she made there, you know, she says that she's going to continue to make content of some kind. She'll probably just like talk about like general UK political issues or something along those lines, which is actually, I'm sorry to say, which actually is not a good idea, unless she creates a new channel, right? A completely new channel, because the algorithm will get all the wrong signals from her putting out a different kind of content. Obviously, there'll be some people with interest overlaps, and some people continue to pay attention, but a lot of people will not be interested anymore because she's not talking about what they care about, and YouTube will get the signal that, you know, these are really bad videos, and they'll stop recommending them. She'd be much better off starting another channel. So if by some weird chance you see this, Lubna, I strongly encourage you to start a new channel. You can advertise for it on your old channel, but make it clear what the content will be so that people who are not interested don't subscribe to it. I know that little subscriber number is you know, a blinking light, and you want a high number there, but it's not in your best interest to put different content on the same channel. All right, let's get to what she was talking about with the sacrifices that she's made to do this.
My employer gave me a decision. It's the channel or it's the job. And I chose the YouTube channel. They had a policy at their workplace not to have like a social media presence, etc. So I had to make a decision. And although it was a high-paying job, I left my high-paying job to continue on this journey. And it doesn't pay that much. For those of you guys who are thinking, oh, are you getting money? Yeah, I'm getting money, but it's not paying as much as my job. Okay. I'm a qualified chartered accountant. I was on a high-paying job, 6-figure package. I didn't need to do a YouTube channel, guys. It's a hard work. I was working and I was doing this YouTube channel at the same time. So when I left my job, Then I started the Hindi channel as well, because frankly speaking, I needed the money. I'm a single parent. You know, I'm not getting money from anywhere else.
So she gave up a very high paying job. She says 6 figures, which keep in mind that's in pounds. So that's substantially more than dollars. I don't know what the current exchange rate is, but 1.7, somewhere around there, 1.8 pounds to a dollar. So she was apparently making over $150,000 a year in her job. I think the cost of living in the UK is fairly similar to a larger city in the United States. So that's plenty of money to live on. And she's like, well, what I really want to do is not work this job. This job has a requirement that for interests of the company, they just don't allow you to have any non-personal social media output, right? So like, I'm sure they allow you to have like your own personal Facebook or Twitter page or whatever, but they don't want people like promoting anything on their own things because it could reflect on the brand. I think it's a kind of a dumb policy, but I understand why a company would do that. And she said, as a result, I had to quit that job because my channel was getting too big. It was growing beyond what I could reasonably get away with while being there. And so I said, let's do the YouTube thing. And yeah, she was getting some money, right? She was up to about 68,000, 70,000, something like that, subscribers when they canceled her. I can tell you from my own channel that she was probably making, let's just say like $1,000, maybe as much as £1,000 at the absolute most. So she went from making like £100,000 to like £12,000 a year. So massive, massive, massive pay cut to continue doing this. She made quite a sacrifice. As Demon Soul says, that's quite a lot of money, right? And I don't live in the UK, but I'm pretty sure that the cost of living is not substantially different, which, I mean, this would be like a top 3-4% income in the United States.
It's a much higher. Oh, no, people in the UK are paid terribly compared to the US, so it would be considerably.
So it might even be like top 1% income if she was really making more than £100,000 a year. Point being, it was a very good job, right? It was a very, very high paying job. I think probably understanding the percentile is probably more meaningful because obviously in some places, £12,000 a year would be an enormous amount of money. But in the UK, that's probably not even enough money to really live on, let alone being a good salary. But 100,000 is quite a nice salary there. I guess I'd have to look at the actual, but I guess it's somewhere between top 1 and top 5% of the population in terms of her income. Before YouTube, not after.
Yeah,
YouTube.
the
After
average
YouTube,
salary in
very,
the
very
UK is 37.5K pounds.
So almost 3 times average. And she just said 6 figures. So it could be £200,000 for all we know, just 100,000 minimum. So she's making at least 3 times the average salary there.
And the US is 66K. So the US is considerably higher than the UK. UK wages are terrible.
So there you go. All right, let's continue.
I've tried my best to bring people together to be a bridge. But sadly, what this community hears is something else. What I'm saying and what they're hearing is completely different. So when they have when they don't want me to help them, there's no point of me putting my life at risk. There's some people who are trying to harm me. They're trying to harm me. And of course, I did call the police last year for online threats. But this time, where people are trying to... I believe they have found me. Okay, I believe they know where I live. And there's something that's happened last night where, which I can't talk about. The police came to my house. And I need to move, basically. I need to get out of it. So I wish these people good luck.
So the way she phrases that, I think they probably didn't show up at her house per se. They may have not figured out the exact address or But I think what happened is they were in the neighborhood and they were asking, like, where does she live? Give me her exact address. And she called the police, and then obviously the police came directly to her house. And they were trying, right? They were looking. They may not have been looking to physically attack her, but they were at least looking to knock on her door and say, we know where you are. Be careful, right? To intimidate her. They might not have immediately gone to violence. I don't know what was in these people's minds, obviously, or this person. It might have been as few as one person. But something made her think that they were about to attack her physical location. And I don't think it was paranoia, right? I think that they probably did more or less figure out where exactly she lived and were looking to intimidate her at minimum as a result. Mohid al-Islam says, check out how Pakistanis are doing in UK when it comes to making money. Ya Allah, please help Pakistanis. Well, as a, mostly immigrant population or second generation immigrants at most, I would imagine that they have very low average income in the Pakistani community. I'm sure that's probably true.
And I don't care. It's for the people who are like, oh, you're doing al-taqiyya, or we're not going to support you anymore. I'm sorry, but if you don't give a shit about my life when I'm a single parent, and if you're talking about, oh, the extremist one, well, then good luck. Why don't you open a channel, show your face, show your name, and you open the channel. You do what I've done. The fact is, very few people can do what I have done. It takes guts, okay?
And that is very true, right? As someone who is showing his face and giving his real name, I have had quite a number of people in, friends and family and whatnot be like, why are you doing this? Aren't you afraid that people will come after you? Aren't you afraid of what the Muslims will do to you? And it's a legitimate concern, right? It's a legitimate concern. However, I think we're pretty safe here in the United States, certainly more safe than anyone in the UK is, let alone someone living in a Pakistani immigrant community. And I'm also not concerned. If someone takes my life, someone takes my life. They can't take what matters, and that's my eternal relationship with my Lord and Savior. She's doing this without that, right? She's doing this without the assurance of salvation from God. And it takes a lot of guts. It definitely takes a lot of guts. I think that what you'll find is that the people who are most willing to continue to do this are, in fact, Christians, because we're motivated by something bigger than our employment or our livelihood or our lives themselves. We're motivated by an all-loving God who we value a relationship with more than anything in this world. Quran Only Fan says these wannabe jihadis are pathetic cowards. I agree exactly. And Demon Soul says, what's your theory? How did they find out where she lives? Thinking that they had some connections, follow up for a bit, and they got an idea where she lives. I mean, she has neighbors, right? Regardless of where she lives, I guarantee she has neighbors there. She goes to stores, people see her. The channel's growing. It only takes one person recognizing her to figure out where she lives. It may or may not be able to find it out online, but it only takes one person in the local community recognizing her and deciding to spread that information to others, and then it's out there. Anything you want to add, Mary? All righty. Let me take a super chat, or technically super sticker, from Ida.
And Allah will bless you in a million ways. You find the tree will grow and you will have lots and lots of wealth. This is the example that we gave to the children. And I'm letting you know that when you sow that seed by giving, you shall receive much more than you gave by the will of Allah. Give as much as you can, for indeed you will reap much more than you have sown.
Little animation there is giving a gift. So very appropriate that the Mufti is telling you to give generously, give gifts, and you will be rewarded by Allah I don't know what happened. Mary's still here. Okay, I
I'm
removed
still
her
here.
address, and now our video is back. So I don't know what happened there, but
I have no idea.
anyway, she never left. She never left. She was here the whole time. Let me take one more super chat, and then we'll get back to the video. This one from Eli.
Early, and this is indeed a sign, yet most of them are not believers. Give alone to Allah, give alone to Allah. Ride the wings of Gabriel, give alone to Allah.
Eli says, thank you for your work. Thaddeus and Mary, thank you very much for your support and your encouragement. And Allah thanks you for your generous loan. He'll be sure to repay you with interest. Wink, wink. And Quran Only Fans said, look, we have even forced the great Islamophobe Mary Harb to cover up out of respect for the truth of Islam. This is the proof of our strength, you see. If you want the ape apologist to actually read your super chat, however, you have to make it a super chat. Just a regular comment won't be read. It has to be a super chat if you want the ape apologist to read it for you. All right, continuing on with the video.
I thought I can do something positive. The reason why from this community, lots of people, a lot of you guys complain, why are more people not coming out from this community? Why are they not condemning? This is the reason why. You're the first to get attacked. In our Western minds, this is no reason to kill someone. But sadly, the psychology of some of the people that we're dealing with
Hang on. In our Western mind.
Yes.
So she's saying that if you have a Western mind, what would the alternative to a Western mind be?
Well, an Eastern mind or a Muslim mind.
Yeah, it would be. And an Eastern mind that was informed by Islam, it would be a reason to kill people. That's kind of the point.
And she actually said something very telling there. Very subtle, but I think it's actually very telling. She said, you'll be the first to be attacked if you're the one speaking out, implying that there'll be others attacked, which is, of course, the case, right? That Islam spreads by conquest, by violence, by the sword. Sure, they'll go after the critics first. I mean, Muhammad did as much himself, right? He executed people who were critical of him, sometimes with his own hands, sometimes making his followers do it. But he didn't stop there. He didn't be like, oh, that's it. We got rid of the 5 people who are brave enough to speak out against me. We're good. No, he slaughtered hundreds and thousands of people to put fear into everyone else's hearts so that they convert to Islam. And that's how Islam has historically spread, is by violence and intimidation. Never, ever has it spread by good arguments or good morals or a good example being set. It's always spread by the sword. Or, I should be fair, in very rare cases, also spread by political intimidation as opposed to violence, where the leader of a tribe or nation or whatever converts first and then puts pressure on the people to do likewise. That has happened occasionally. But mostly violence, never good arguments, never good morals, never good example.
It's so low. Like, in their minds, you've done enough that they can take your life. Like, they will justify it. Especially the Hindi channel. I've worked so hard. There were people trying to...
She said it in their minds, but I mean, whose else mind is it, right? Who said that? Well, I guess he didn't specifically say, but whose example provided for the Sharia that says whoever insults Muhammad shall be killed? Oh, that would be Muhammad, right? And what counts as insulting Muhammad? Saying anything remotely negative about Islam, because Muhammad is Islam.
Like other YouTubers trying to bring down my channel. So I was putting so much effort. The guests that I've brought on that channel are A-list guests. Now, considering that I'm not even Indian and I'm a small YouTuber, the fact that I was even able to get those kind of guests, people can see how hard I was working. Okay, I've been working my ass off, interviewing people, doing public lives, doing reaction videos, making my own content. I tried my best.
So she's saying she's put a lot of effort into this, tried really hard. She also made a comment that they tried to take down her channel. I don't know exactly how, but, false copyright claims, false claims about it having pornography in it. I mean, all kinds of options to try
Yeah,
to get,
most likely
taken
they
down.
found out her address through false copyright strikes. She didn't realize that that was
Mm,
a
that's a
trait.
possibility.
That's my supposition, and I suspect that they may have emailed her something showing that they know her address rather than shown up directly at her door, perhaps, and then threatened her.
Yeah, that's a good lesson for anyone else who has a YouTube channel. Understand that when you get a copyright complaint and they ask you, YouTube, it is YouTube asking you, but YouTube asks you for your contact information. That information is supplied to the copyright claimant. What YouTube is thinking, right, is that this is a legitimate person who legitimately has a question about their copyrighted content, and they want to communicate with you to resolve the issue. So they supply that information. However, Muslims have figured this out, and they can now use that to get your identity and then come after you in other ways. So think about how you want to respond to that. You're allowed to appoint a third-party representative to handle the copyright claim. So you can supply them with contact information that isn't your home address, in other words. It can be a law firm, it can be a business address, it can be all kinds of things that don't tell someone where you live. So if anyone comes across that situation, be very careful with giving your information out, because anything you supply to YouTube will be given to the copyright claimant.
Life is at risk, guys. I'm sorry. So whoever's watching this, if you're one of the extremists who are trying to come after me, I'm not interested in talking about this community. I'm not interested in talking about Pakistanis or Muslims anymore. I just wish you guys good luck. I'm not going to be talking about this stuff. I think I've outgrown the community, and I think you guys you're at your own pace. Okay. The reason why I've outgrown the community, and I'm not trying to demean them in any way, is because it's not just because I've studied, okay, because other people have studied and they're still radicals. It's because of my upbringing that my mother and my parents were not radicals. They weren't that extreme. And also because I've traveled and I've got critical reasoning skills. I think for myself, okay? Very few people, we all think that we think for ourselves, but we're all indoctrinated. All of us.
Very good point there. She says, basically, I was able to come to these conclusions because of two things. One, because of my upbringing. I wasn't raised to be, she says extremist, but let's just say hardline. She wasn't raised in a hardline version of Islam. And then her life experience as well, traveling, seeing different people in different parts of the world, people with different perspectives. And because of those two things combined, she was able to kind of escape this mindset of my community is the only right community in the entire world. And she is right that most people like to think of themselves as being open-minded or free thinkers or whatever you want to describe that as, but in fact are very not open to ideas. She says indoctrinated. I think that's a poor choice of words. Are very dogmatic, very, very hardline, and what I believe must be right because I believe it type idea. And as weird as it may sound to someone who's not a Christian, I encourage Christians to investigate their own religion and look at other opinions, because the truth should stand for itself. And that's what I have done over the last 20 plus years. I've carefully examined my own religion and come to the conclusion that it is 100% true. I believed, based on the evidence I had available 20 years ago, and I believe a lot more firmly now based on the evidence I have available now. Mary's back, so let's continue.
Are indoctrinated. It takes a lot of courage and it takes time to really reflect and think about things and, challenge your community, whether it's your race, religion, country, whatever. It takes decades. That's why I called my second channel Evolve with Lubna, because I've evolved myself. I'm not saying I'm better than anyone else, but I'm someone who thinks for myself, and that is dangerous in a community where you're supposed to you do what you are told to do. You don't think for yourself, that kind of mindset, I wish these people, I've got nose coming out. I don't have a tissue. Yes, I would like the extremists to know. Fantastic, you've won. Okay, good luck. Please don't come after me. I'm a single parent. I don't have money right now. I left my job to build these YouTube channels. I really genuinely thought I'm doing.
So she's going to emphasize this a number of times. Then, she's an especially vulnerable figure because she's kind of appealing to human decency here, thinking that the people who did this will care. It's not going to work. I mean, they very well might back down because you took the channel down, but they're not going to back down because, you're a single vulnerable mother or whatever, because they don't care about that. In fact, they would be happy to hear that information because they know that it means they can control you better. Unfortunately, the people who have this type of mindset that is given to them by the teachings of Muhammad see your statements not as some reason for sympathy, but as weakness, something to take advantage of. Snoopy says, what type of name is Lubna? Because Snoopy said this, even though that sounds kind of provocative, I'm sure it's just a genuine question. Like what ethnicity or whatever does this name derive from? I mean, she's Pakistani, so I would assume that it's a Pakistani name. I don't know. I've never heard the name before. All right.
Sorry, I didn't realize I had muted there. It's an Arabic name. Some of the companions of Muhammad were named Lubna or Lubna. Yeah, so it's a name that she has because of the Islamic conquest of Pakistan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and more cases that many of us are used to this type of thing, and Lubna just found out. Hopefully this is a wake-up call to her, right? That this isn't just about, some weirdos, but this is about the community that she outgrew. That is Islam, right? She grew up, she started to think for herself, and as a result, she no longer believes in the nonsense that is Islam. She's may or may not still identify as a Muslim. I don't know one way or another, but she certainly is what we'd call a cultural Muslim. That's her background, and that's what she most closely identifies with. But she's not a religious Muslim anymore because she's moved away from these hardliners, which of course are just going with what Muhammad taught.
Doing something good, okay? Now, if you guys don't appreciate it, whatever, you guys think you can take someone's life when I'm trying to help. My supporters kept saying, criticize Islam, criticize Islam. I never criticized Islam. I said my whole entire family is Muslim. I never did anything, but still you guys have such low tolerance. Sorry, I haven't read any of the comments, guys. I can't even.
So Cyber Flaneur says the video continues, but all the details have been covered. Yeah, she is repetitive. I mean, this wasn't scripted or planned, but I think it's still valuable to see all the emotion she's going through. So we are going to continue with the video. I mean, if there's not more points to make, we don't have to continually pause it. So it won't take a great amount of time. But in case you haven't seen, things change towards the end of the video.
Even see because I've got tears in my eyes. I haven't read the comments. The problem is when you say something where you're trying to improve the community thinks you're the enemy. And then anyone who's outside the community, who's not a Muslim, who's not Pakistani, they also see me potentially as an enemy because they think I'm Muslim Pakistani, right? So you get bashed from both sides. Both sides get bashed. Bash me. And I've always tried to keep a balance. I've always tried not to pander to anyone's views. I've always tried to do that kind of stuff. The fact is, I know that my voice was a powerful voice, okay? Although I didn't need to criticize anyone.
Alexander said, I think it was too close for the event for her to make a video. She's still too shaken. I think she wanted to explain what happened, right? Where all her content went. I guess she could have done a community post or something, but I think that this was a perfectly reasonable way to get it out there, honestly.
Yeah, a lot of her videos are this format anyway. So she normally just talks and reads the comments and responds. So she'll have a topic and then she just live streams typically.
Religion to make my point, and that's what they can't stand as well. They can't stand that I haven't done any, like, stuff.
I think she's wrong there. I don't think any of these people coming after are concerned that, we can't actually tie her to criticizing Islam, because in their mind, that's exactly what she did, whether she said otherwise or not.
That's the thing. In her mind, because she is claiming these things are un-Islamic, she can't be called to have criticized Islam. But these things are Islamic. So what she is criticizing is Islam. That's why the people are coming against her, because they know it's Islamic. They believe it's Islamic. And they're against her because she's against something that they believe is Islamic.
Exactly.
I just thought I'll come live because I don't want to sit there scripting stuff or redoing it, whatever. This is, it is what it is. My life is at risk. The police is involved. And I've changed so much things in my life to continue this channel that you can't even understand, because I don't talk about it. I don't talk about the stuff because there's people, like I said, listening who criticize me. It's not even just critics. I can handle critics, but there are people that think it's okay to take my fucking life, for God's sake. It's not worth it. Seriously, it's not worth it. I wish the British native English people good luck. This is, your country, your ancestors, whatever, this is your heritage. They fought for this country. I've done my part. I'm sorry, I don't feel safe in this country. This is supposed to be UK. I'm supposed to feel safe here. I don't feel safe in this country.
Just let that sink in for a moment here, right? She's in a Western country with Western legal protections, and she doesn't feel safe. Imagine how someone in, say, Pakistan, or even, a modernized country like Saudi Arabia feels when they even think about saying something that could be interpreted as criticism of Islam.
She couldn't wear that clothing there and appear as she does. Like, even that, she would not be permitted to do. And she thinks that that's not required in Islam or something like that, because she chooses not to know. She really does. And hopefully this will force her to actually deal with what it teaches.
Where people think that they can get away with harming me because this is what's happened to this country's become so, we're just, anything can happen. So I'm gonna bring guests on the stage, but if because like I said, I will continue the channel. Frankly speaking, I need the money, but I'm not going to speak about what I'm speaking about, and I may take a bit of a break. I will always have some kind of social media presence, whether that's Instagram or something, just as a way to tell you guys that I'm okay. If you stop hearing from me, guys, for any reason, okay, then I'm not okay. I'm making that very, very clear. I will be online, either doing lives and moderating, or, just talking general stuff, or just on Instagram. There will be something from me every single day. If you stop seeing stuff from me, that means, there's something wrong.
So what she's saying is, I intend to maintain a social media presence. If I disappear, something's wrong. I've been attacked, basically, right? They found me. Vilna says, Thaddeus, it's the UK. Muslims are a protected class. They not by law, of course, but yes, it's two-tiered police system, right? Is what we are always hearing. That because people are so afraid of being called Islamophobic or racist.
It's more than that. It's more than that now, though. They're two-tier tier. The two-tier system is part of sentencing guidelines. So they have actual guidelines that say that Muslims just can't help it because they're just filthy animals by nature, and so you shouldn't hold them to the same accountability, because that just wouldn't be fair, because they can't help being disgusting rapists. That's basically what the two-tier system says.
Mhm.
That, oh, you know, Muslims, all these brown people, they can't help it. They just rape people and have no self-control. It's not their ideology. But we can't hold them to the same standards, which is just insanity. To be clear,
I mean,
is insanity.
it's
I do
quite
not believe that
racist,
at all.
right?
I believe everyone is equally responsible for their own behavior, for their own choices, and for their own foul ideologies. That just because you're from wherever, the dirty men who come in, why did you attack the toddler? Oh, she was too pretty. No, he could help it. He is in a culture where he believes that he doesn't have to, so he doesn't. But he should be punished with every ounce of the weight of the law as it existed in 1820, not now. Today's laws in the West are not suitable for people from primitive cultures. They should be much more primitive in their execution of the law, because they are not capable of dealing with the mindset. So
Yeah, I would say that if you want to talk about racism, that's racism, right?
yeah,
Saying that
it's
one
racism to
particular
say
group,
that you should have lower standards for them because they can't help it. They're just rapey. Like, that's
Yeah.
insanity. That's
and saying
insanity.
because of your skin color and other genetic traits, you are inferior to us white people, and you are incapable of not being a criminal. So we'll take it easy on you when you commit crimes. And that's disgusting racism. I'm sorry, but that's what it actually is. Jeremy here says, Marius, I watched a few of her videos a year ago, and yes, she was accusing certain Christian positions of being Islamophobic. That's why I didn't keep watching her. She's flaky. It's obvious. Cope. What did you not just hear what she said? That when she created her second channel, she called it Evolve with Lubna because she's been evolving. Her positions have changed as
Yeah, her
she's learned
positions have
more and
changed a lot.
come to understand different people. So maybe I haven't watched any of her content, but it's quite possible that 2 years ago she was pretty hostile towards Christians and Christianity, and she's evolved to realize that she was mistaken. That's a possibility. But even if she was calling me Islamophobic, I would still stand up for her, because it's not right for anyone, regardless of their position, including Muslims, to be attacked for talking about stuff, to be physically attacked or physically intimidated because they were talking about stuff that someone else didn't like. So I would stand up for her regardless.
Yeah, and she was quite hostile to Christians who were saying that this is what Islam teaches, because she's like, I'm a Muslim, I don't believe that. Yes, Lubna, we know, sweetie, you don't believe that. That's why they're trying to attack you, because you are look at you! You're sitting there without a hijab. So obviously you don't actually follow Islam. And you can't use your identity as a shield from that. And that's what she really does. She really wants there to be this category of God is good, therefore everything that I feel is good must be what God actually wants. And God is Allah, and so I'm a Muslim, and that's what she's trying to do. So she's trying to she was calling those who said that no, Islam actually teaches specific things. She was calling them Islamophobes. And yes, we know that she still identifies as Muslim because she is still deluded and trying not to learn. She is deliberately trying not to learn about Islam, because more and more she is realizing that she will discover things about Islam that she is unwilling to accept. So hopefully this is her wake-up call to actually investigate her religion, find out what it actually teaches, and then I'm quite certain that she will leave it when she does. She's clinging to her ignorance as a defense against apostasy. But I really do believe that if she determines that Islam actually does teach all those things, she will abandon it.
So Alexander says, bro, 2 years ago, I was a Solomonic mage. By the grace of God, we can all realize we're wrong, repent, and change. Exactly.
Absolutely.
The irony here is you were disagreeing with Jeremy, right? Where he's like, oh, it's Chrislam. She's a scoundrel.
And the thing is, I don't think the
This
thing
is
is,
pretty
it is kind of Chrislam. He is kind of right. She's grown up in a place where she has more exposure to more decent standards and more decent ideas of what is proper and what isn't. And so she is importing ideas from Christianity into Islam and trying to pretend that she can live by them. But she really, honestly, earnestly does not know, and she's trying not to know. So and you're saying that she's disingenuous. I think she is disingenuous as far as there is a conscious, deliberate attempt not to learn the truth on her part, where she's trying to stay out of that. And so that she doesn't have to come face to face with that. She also, at some level, believes that there is an important role for someone like her who identifies as Muslim, but really has watered down Christian-y values from the UK to have a role to bring reform. And she thought that that was important. But now she's running into the fact that she won't be allowed to have that role, that they would kill her first. And hopefully she will investigate what Islam actually teaches, and will have to struggle with that and go through that so that she can have salvation, frankly.
Absolutely. I think that, from a secular standpoint, there's some value in reforming Islam. The problem is, how do you reform something? Well, you go back to its roots. And for Islam, that means making it, if anything, more violent and more intolerant and more hateful. So the only way you quote unquote reform Islam from a Western perspective is by ignoring what Islam teaches, and that's what people like her do. I get that, if you're not in that position, it's hard to understand, but this is very normal human behavior. You have cognitive dissonance. You see two things that don't agree with one another. One, you were raised Muslim, you believe that it's a very beautiful religion, you believe that God is good, God is great. And two, you see these people claiming to be Muslims doing nasty things. You can resolve that a couple different ways. One way is to say they're wrong, right? That is a very easy way to resolve things intellectually, at least until you dig in and learn more. And I think she's been learning more, and she's been moving farther and farther away from Islam as she's been growing. And I think we should encourage that, not be like, oh, you're not part of my exact clique, therefore you're wrong and you should be destroyed. I don't think that's beneficial to anyone, especially not to people who are outside of the church, outside of salvation. And I don't know what everyone else's goal here is, but my goal is to bring people into the love of Christ. And we don't do that by punching people in the face as they're moving towards us.
I don't think that's true.
Hello.
They would have known that
Sorry, there's background noise. Hello. You've got background noise. Hello.
Think about alligators.
Namaskar.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm all right, but I'm not all right because you are not all right, right? Lubna, I will not talk in details, but...
We can't hear you because you've got background.
Well, that guy figures out his background noise situation. I want to answer this question from Caleb. He's asked a couple times, and I had flagged it to answer later, but I'll answer it now. Did you or Mary ever get spotted publicly by people from YouTube? Not that they've told me that it's not impossible that someone recognized me and just didn't say anything. But also, probably maybe 1 million different people have watched one of my videos at some point, probably less, maybe 500,000. That's really, 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 really insignificant in the world population. So there's probably only a few hundred people in the city of Columbus of 2 million people who have seen one of my videos. And that's just seeing it. They wouldn't necessarily recognize me just because they've seen a video.
And I've walked up right next to people that I have streamed with without makeup on, and they have not recognized me.
Yeah, Mary disguises her appearance. There's no chance she'll ever be recognized in public.
Noise.
I was laughing because I thought it was sad.
Is that
Yeah.
okay now?
Yeah, it's better. Yeah.
So that there's this rumor going around about me being Fabio. They were calling me Fabio on David's stream last night, and I just want to say that I have no problem with that. You can call me that if you want.
Okay, thank you. Lubna, I was genuinely upset with your condition, right? Pardon me. I'm 65. Okay. So you are like my kid.
So this guy calls in. I don't know if he's called in previously, but regardless of whether he's literally called into our open call in before, he has a close, in his mind, a close relationship with a user as almost his child. He says, "I'm 65 years old. I see you kind of as my child, and so I'm really upset about what's going on here." I'm saying this because his audio is very quiet, and I'm not sure everyone can make out what he's saying.
It's pretty hard.
Look, I'm a Rajput, all right? Rajput from Rajasthan. And any Rajput who gives his words, particularly from Rajasthan, you can take it for as a guarantee, right? Please don't worry about your safety. I know it's not that easy, and especially I might have disclosed my locations before in your program. You're very far away, but it's a very, very safe place, right? So this is one place where you can easily come with your family, and I can guarantee you, in my home, before any harm comes to you, the harm has to go through my dead body. Look, you are nothing to me, right? But you have got heritage from India.
Karu asks why I'm playing this part. Why not? I mean, we're looking at this stream, and what the gist of what's going on here, right, is this guy's coming up and saying that you have support of a lot of people in the community. He says you can go to your family, by which he means people like him. He doesn't mean like your literal biological family. I get what you're saying, right? You're saying that you want it tightly edited and blah blah blah. Well, I mean, this is a live stream. I certainly wouldn't put this part in like a scripted video or something. But even Wad here, right, our Muslim in the crowd, says very emotional moment, and I don't see a problem with playing this and acknowledging the emotion that lots of people are feeling. Right, this guy's representative of many people. That this is very upsetting,
and that's enough for me, right? So don't think that I'm obliging you or doing anything favor to you. No, it's my duty. So this is number one. Now, this location I can share if you want now, right now, because I'm not afraid of anything. And the second location within India also I can tell you.
So what he says is, I can give you my location. You can come and stay with me. I'm not afraid. I'll give it to you right now. Now, obviously, saying it on the stream wouldn't be very productive, but like in the private chat or whatever, he's saying, I can give you that info.
My hometown in Rajasthan 200% secure and safe. Look, we wouldn't, please don't expect any facilities, kind of facilities you are enjoying and I'm enjoying in the Western kind of society. That's for sure. But then safety and honor and dignity, that is 100% guaranteed. Okay? So please do not feel insecure. I don't know, because I'm a bit oldie kind of guy.
She's taking an awfully big risk there, letting that guy stay on when he's in bed without a shirt on. I assume nothing happens. But
I would not have added them.
I would not have let that guy on.
I suspect this is somebody she already knows.
Yeah,
Again,
probably.
I have not watched very many of her streams. I read all of her posts, her community posts, but I haven't watched very many of her streams because it just doesn't seem very useful to me, because no matter what, she can say whatever she wants about Islam not being this or not being that or not being the other. But what happens when the Muslims actually go to their sources?
Mario said, I thought it was the same guy that undressed very fast. He did look similar. I was confused there for a second. I'm like, what happened? That other guy joined very briefly and then dropped.
How to share? I can type my email, and if there's any issue in Western kind of society, I'm there. And in subcontinental kind of society, where safety is 100% guaranteed. That's my family background.
No, and I really appreciate. I'm gonna have to go soon, so I just want to make sure I give other people a chance to talk. Like I said, I'm not going to talk about this after this live. I don't plan to talk about this topic again. SP, welcome.
Hello there. Bear with me on the background because I wasn't expecting to come on. I was actually feeling a bit sleepy due to my home life, and I was going to have a nap, but I woke up. And then when I saw you on here like this, I thought, right, enough is enough. I was wanting to do this the other day when the other guy was on here and all that. But because I was on late, I was watching him recording rather than when it was.
So Tiger says, who's that guy? Or who's that dude? I assume that she knows who he is, that he's called in before. He just explained, right? I apologize about the way I look. I wasn't expecting to call in, but I saw you were live and I'm hearing what's happening and I had to call in. So I assume that she's talked to him before and he was fully clothed when she talked to him before.
Live. And, obviously there was nothing I could do at the time. But I thought, enough's enough. You should not be put in this position to just being yourself. And I'm trying not to swear here, but you stand out so much. You do not deserve any of this. So, why is there a delay on the...
I can see you. I can hear you.
Yeah, but there's a delay on the audio for some reason. You have to bear with me. It's the first time I've ever done any of this. So it's a learning curve for me. But yeah, I'll tell you what, not being funny, right now, you would probably find it hard to breathe, yeah? Because if I had hold of you, I would hug you so bleeding hard.
It's Jabril, everyone. Obviously he's a fan. He's calling in, trying to express support in whatever way he can. And I think it's okay, right? I think that, it's perfectly okay for him to say something like that.
And someone else pointed out that you know, even any kind of criticism is super dangerous. With what happened to Mufti Mink, and he's a pious Muslim. He's a Mufti, for heaven's sake. He just isn't a Salafi. He thinks Salafism is stupid. So, you know, insulting just Salafism will get you terrorized.
The most educated person, like most of the people that come on here, but it doesn't mean to say that I can't have, you know, have a bit of a voice, have a bit of like, I suppose, an opinion. But it's weird because since I've been watching you for the past probably 6 months to a year, I cannot believe that of everybody who may or may not be in the same situation, you are the only one who's been brave enough, given the fact that.
Just to clarify, Mary misspoke. She didn't mean to say Mufti Mink. She meant
Oh
to
no,
say...
I said the totally wrong person. Goodness, not him, because he's a grifter. No,
yeah, I put it on screen,
Mufti Abu Laith. I don't know why
Yeah.
I said Mink. I think my brain just continued on autopilot after I said Mufti. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I put it on screen. I maybe I should have said something, but
yeah, sorry.
I knew what you meant. It happens. People say the wrong thing in live chat.
Totally the wrong thing.
A lot of people, for the same reason that you have, that you've explained, come on here with masks because they might, you know, be invisible. They might get a bit of persecution or whatever if people know their identity. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, fair enough. You're in tears and all that. But I made a cast iron out of that. Nobody else. You know, this is going to sound really silly, yeah, but you, for me, are the Pakistani Muslim version of Tommy Robinson. Yeah, you have got so much. I'm going to say balls for you know, and bravery for doing what you do. God, you stand out. I mean, it's, you know, it's completely up to yourself what you do as a result of this video, yeah. And everyone is going to be standing by you regardless if you decide to put your face.
So let me answer this question here. They raided Mufti Abu Laith. So is he Shia, or why did they raid his house? The reason they used was that he made some comments mildly friendly to Israel, like maybe, I don't know the exact comments, but you know, I'm sure they weren't like, oh, Palestine's evil and Israel's awesome, but that was the excuse that they gave for the raid. But I'm sure it wasn't just that comment that, you know, triggered it. It was his whole investigation into the reliability of hadith and being okay with questioning things, looking at things from an intellectual angle and saying, is this actually the reality of what Muhammad taught and all that stuff, as opposed to, as far as I know, he's Sunni, right? He's not Salafi, but I'm pretty sure he's Sunni.
Yeah, he's Sunni. And he
believes,
yeah,
at least to some degree, in the same scriptures, you know, the same hadith, but he was questioning that. And then he made some comments like, basically like, oh, you know, Palestine isn't pure good and Israel isn't pure evil. And they attacked him for that.
Family first, yeah, and maybe have a break or whatever. People are going to disagree with me for saying that, but at the end of the day, you have got to do what is right for you. Ultimately, your safety is number one priority.
No, exactly. You know, if I can't help people if I'm not alive. You know, I can only make the world a better place if I'm alive. Like I said, I mean, I've always tried to keep a balance. I've always said my whole entire family is Muslim. I'm not out to get Muslims. I'm not out to get Pakistanis. You know, I'm trying to help because there is a difference in psychology. But because they don't understand, they don't understand. They see everything. Even the educated Muslims, the first time someone has heard my videos, because they're not used to any kind of criticism, they just automatically assume, oh, someone's just like, you know. But as I've shown through even the comments that I posted on my community post, when someone actually bothers to give me a chance, my content, a chance from the community, they realize actually I'm not saying anything wrong. So
All you've ever done is,
well, whether she's certainly not saying anything wrong morally speaking, right? She's calling out absolutely disgusting behavior from time to time, but Islamically that might not be the case, right? She still thinks that Islam's good fundamentally, that it's just like any other religion. There's some good people and some bad people. She is not ex-Muslim, all right? She doesn't identify as ex-Muslim. We would suggest that she's culturally Muslim and not religiously Muslim, but she certainly is much closer to Islam than any other religion or atheism, for that matter. There was a comment here that she was talking about Muhammad hijab a week ago. I don't know that one way or another. I mean, if you're saying it, I'm going to trust you. I'm not sure that it's related, or I think it's probably unlikely that it's related. If Muhammad hijab is going to go after someone,
Wasting your time on social media is one of the best deeds a Muslim can do. There's a huge need for it. You know this and I know this. So that makes the reward even greater. So give generously and Allah Azza wa Jal will give you even more.
thank you for being a channel member, Misha. I accidentally clicked the button, but it's all good. Niqab proves the Trinity of Mary. Mahdi approved. Thank you for your continued membership there. Now, as I was saying about Muhammad hijab, she probably talked about him. I mean, if you say it, I have no reason to disbelieve it, but I don't think it's related to the attack. If Muhammad hijab is going to come after someone, she wouldn't be anywhere near the top of his list. Now, that might have upset someone else, it might have upset a hijab fan, but I don't think that hijab is behind this in any way.
is what's right, period.
I know.
So Demon Soul says, after the Pahalgam terror attack, Lubna criticized Pakistan, praised India. A week after she was doxxed and they turned up at her home, might be a potential link. Now, I think that's more likely as far as something that was the final straw for someone in the Pakistani community, and that's why they decided to come after her. I don't think it would be any of the terrorists involved or people connected to the terrorists that organized it, but it could be what upset someone enough to come after her. And I would say that's plausible.
I said all Pakistani men are groomers or anything like that, but all I was doing is
we just spoke the truth,
condemning the bad people. But for some reason, I don't know.
That's the only main issue these days. A lot of people don't like the truth and they can't handle it. And the minute someone mentions it or speaks up, people go into one.
No, thank you. Thanks, SP, for coming. I'm gonna just give everyone a quick chance, because, like I said, after today, I'm not speaking about this. I'll talk about other stuff. I'm not going to talk. I don't want to talk about this because my life's at risk right now. Hi, David.
Hi, good
David.
morning.
Morning.
Yes, seen your post about the police incident, and I've sort of followed you from, as you know, you're probably around 20k subscribers. Sort of, I remember the first video, I think it was on about, how your marriage fell apart and how family sort of got involved. And this was way back then, and even from then, it was clear you was running a risk with what you were doing, you see. And I sort of know about this because I had a very good friend.
So he's going to share his own experience. But before that, Demon Soul says her critique of Pakistan went viral on the news. One news site talked about it too. If that's the case, then I'd say there's a very good chance that is what ended up inciting someone. Through they're 100% responsible, right? Whether she criticized Pakistan or not, they're 100% responsible for their action. I'm just talking about what upset them to where they acted like morons and cowards. I think that's very plausible. That said, I'm sure that there was plenty of people who were really upset with her for a very long time, and it wasn't just one thing, really.
Pakistani Muslim guy, 12 years, 13 years, been to each other's house. He was usher at my wedding. That was the first ever, he said, English wedding he went to. Put it that way. So very, very close friends. My children called him uncle, and then his name. But sort of when the, Gaza matter happened, and I was saying, I don't support one side or the other, it was clear to him that I was not even against Muslim, but I weren't agreeing with what he said, and we no longer speak now. And so
did you catch that, everyone? He's describing someone who was a very close friend of his, friend for 12 years, I believe he said, that he was groomsmaid at his wedding. And then he said, in the Israel-Gaza conflict, I don't support either side. And that was enough for this individual to say, get out of my sight. I never want to talk to you again. Pretty sad.
And this is unfortunately pretty common.
I know a tiny bit of how, the tides can change, but what you've been through, you stepped really lightly in what you were doing.
What do you mean he's making excuses? He's saying that he experienced these kind of intolerance himself. He's not saying that they're right. Yeah. Groomsman. See, anyone can misspeak.
You did it with honor. You tried to do it down the middle with truth. But it was clear you was always running the risk. And I just want to say I appreciate, everything that you've done. And, in the post, you can see people's, they've changed their minds. They've been more open with what you've done. And you've stepped so lightly with doing it as well. You didn't pick sides. So yeah, appreciate all that you do. And I think I'll finish off. I think I remember messaging you because I remember the video that you did ages ago, and you said I will never off myself, and so that's how long ago it was. And I said, I speak for a lot of people. Whenever you need to tap out and do you, just do that. Don't worry about anybody else. I just want to say you've done enough, Lubna.
Thanks, David. Thank you. If I can go to Nechama now. Sorry, I can't see with the tears. Hi, Nechama.
Hi. That's all right. Yeah, I'm. Wow. Yeah. Gosh. This is. I mean, I just popped on a second ago, so I missed like the first 15 minutes. But I saw your post yesterday. And this is why I popped onto your live last time, even though I haven't been showing my face much online on purpose. I haven't wanted to, but like when seeing everything you've been doing, I wanted to support you. And I know I did a YouTube channel for a very short.
So this woman, I don't know exactly what she's referring to, but I think that like she called in previously, showed her face, and then she's like, yeah, I don't really want my face out there. And then she says, but because of this, I'm putting my face out there. And again, unintended consequences, right? You morons, you cowards, you came after her because she said some comments you didn't like. And you're like, oh, we solved the problem. We've ended all this. No, you just emboldened a bunch of people to speak up against it instead of one voice. That's all you've accomplished.
For a period of time. And nothing like what you're doing. There wasn't any controversial topic or anything. And to be honest, like, it was very uncomfortable. Just like some of the men, just dealing with the men was, no offense to all the men on the planet, but it was kind of vile at times. And what made me...
Hey, Mary, have you ever experienced that where Muslim men act very vile whenever they see a woman on a stream?
Oh, have I? Like I said, I get more dick pictures than death threats.
Yeah. So
I'd rather have the death threats just for future reference. 'Cause that's just gross.
What made it not worth it for me was not the one or two men who were bad. It was all the other men who just sat there quietly. I was like, I can't do this on my own. Like, I can't, this is not worth it for me. It's not worth it for me to take all of this abuse for what? For nothing, you know?
So she's taking lots of abuse for making statements that are at least perceived as critical of Islam. And that didn't bother her necessarily, right? She's saying that the couple bad apples, to use the term that Lubna likes, that didn't bother her so much. You understand when you do this kind of thing that you'll get people who don't like you and are critical of you. But what bothered her is all the other people, all the other men being silent on it, not standing up and saying that, shut up, you disgusting pervert. They're just sitting. They might not be actively in the chat saying, oh, you know, blah, 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 sexualizing her or calling her names or whatever, or threatening to rape her or whatever, right? But they are not saying anything against these clowns either, which is implicitly means they support it, implicitly means they agree with it. Maybe not the exact statements, but agree with the tactic of intimidation, agree with the tactic of shutting people up by engaging in vile, disgusting behavior. And we get that plenty here on this stream. We had a call-in show the other day. First time we've done a call-in show in a while. 3 Muslims called into the show, 2 of which called in just to take their clothes off. And the first one, no one saw it because he was an idiot and he did it backstage, but I could see it. And he took off his pants and started masturbating.
Who ate the apple?
Called in, and he was also an idiot. He calls in standing up without his shirt on and in his boxers. Obviously, he was about to pull those down. So I hung up on him as well. But we've had plenty of people who were a little bit smarter and waited till they were in the stream to reveal their pornography collection, usually gay porn for some reason. Don't know why they have gay porn on their phones or their computers ready to go. That's their business. Of course, it doesn't work because I know this will happen and I shut them down. But 2 out of 3 Muslims who are willing to call in only wanted to show us vile behavior. Weird.
And watching and I felt really bad about it because I knew there were people who were enjoying my channel, who were enjoying my presence, who I was making space for people to talk just like you, not to the degree that you have, honestly. Like, I quit really early. And I felt really dumb stopping. I felt really, really like a quitter and all this stuff. And then I saw what you were doing, and I saw how hard it was. And I sort of felt validated. I was like, oh, no, I wasn't imagining it. Like, this is actually really effing hard. This is really hard, and it's hard to do on your own. And that's why I wanted to come on last time. I was like, you should not be carrying this burden on your own. It's too
Can I just say, I've just read in the private chat.
So something very important is about to happen here. Pause it there. So apparently Nakama, as she had her own YouTube channel, probably, I don't know the exact details, but basically she was putting out some content, probably only had a few thousand people ever see it. And she was still getting this disgusting, vile behavior from people. And she's just like, it's not worth it. I'm going to shut it down. And then she's like, I felt bad about that, right? Felt bad about shutting it down. But then I was watching your channel and how much abuse you were taking. And I was like, I made the right decision, right? I don't need to put up with all that shit. I don't need that in my life. Something changed today, though, right? Because of what they did to Lubna.
Yeah.
Timothy says, I got lucky with 1 out of 3. Yeah. I mean, we've had plenty of people come on and talk. And this guy was actually, reasonable. He actually wanted to go through his Dawa script. He actually had a conversation. We get lots of people wanting to take their clothes off. Lots of people who just want to come on and scream and yell and call us names. And occasionally we get a nice conversation. All right. So pay attention to what's happening now.
Someone's giving me death threats. But they're not going to come on stage. So repent to Islam, Lubna, surrender, and take back your slander and lies about Muslims. What slander and lies about Muslims? Every fucking video is titled Pakistani, this Paki, that Paki's this. You're a racist, dirty pig, and you got what you deserve. You should say sorry to all Muslims and Pakistanis. And then this person says, retarded bitch, you deserve to die for supporting Israel war on children. I've never supported Israel's war on children.
So someone came in. So, right, she has this as an open call in, right? People are calling in give their messages of support that they've been watching. Someone came into the thing, and instead of coming on camera and confronting her like a cat, someone who isn't a coward, they're sitting in the comments, sending death threats in the private chat on StreamYard or whatever service she's using, where it won't be censored by YouTube so that she'll actually see it, because YouTube will block nearly all death threats and other harassment because they're pretty smart about those particular words anyway. And she's up here crying, saying how you've destroyed my life and I have to run away. And they're like, oh, good, you deserve it. If you dare say anything else, I'll kill you. This is the reality of what she's facing, right? And this is the reality that these people will not stop. And in fact, her backing down just tells them that it works, right? It tells them that this intimidation tactic works. And I don't blame her. I'm not saying that she should have done anything differently. She has to consider the safety of herself and her children. And if they know where she lives and they're willing to come see her in person, that's a big problem. That's a real death threat. That's not a pretend death threat like we all get all the time, where just some moron in his keyboard thinks it's funny to send a death threat. That's a real threat. And she responded appropriately. But understand that they view this not as like, oh, I'm so sorry that this happened to you. Those are bad people that did that. No, they view it as you got what you deserved, and we're going to keep coming after you now that we know that it works. Right? That's why that idiot is in the chat. I'm sure it's not the same idiot that visited her. This idiot in chat is thinking, we're winning. I'm going to push on the gas and make sure this keeps going. And to that moron, to that coward who came into the live chat and was afraid to come on camera and say it to her face, you are wrong. Right? You are not winning. Your religion is being destroyed. More ex-Muslims are being created every day because of your disingenuine, fake Dawa conversions. You're creating many ex-Muslims. Many of them are bitter. Many of them are angry. Many of them don't care about your stupid, pathetic threats, and they will give their lives, if necessary, to make sure that your false prophet and your false God is exposed. And that's what we're doing here on this channel. This is what I have devoted my life to, and you cannot harm me. You cannot stop me. Your intimidation will not work here. Understand that. Mary?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I so don't care. I would rather not that my dog eat anyone, because then my dog would be put down because he already has a bite history. But he's gone to no eat people training. I swear he's graduated from it. But if you really feel like you have to, then really need to be eaten by my dog, and that is your decision. That is your choice. But I would not recommend it, and you're not going to shut me up.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they are very much Khareeds. Jeremy says, America is currently experiencing a water shortage due to all the ex-Muslims being baptized. Amen. I mean, not technically true, but amen, right? Amen. That more people, and this is true, right? This is true, that more people have come to the truth of Christianity from Islam in the past 50 years than the first 1,350 years of Islamic history combined. There is massive amounts of people leaving Islam. Some of them are becoming atheists. Some are becoming agnostic. Some are becoming Hindus or other religions. But a lot of them are becoming Christians. And your religion is crumbling before your eyes. It survived from one thing and one thing only, according to your own scholars, the death penalty for apostasy. Your scholars will openly admit, if we didn't have the death penalty for apostasy, and they say this while they're trying to defend why it needs to stay in place, if we didn't have that, Islam would have ceased to exist many years ago. And guess what? You can't use the death penalty for apostasy in the modern world. You can make threats, you can intimidate, and as long as it's just a tiny trickle of people leaving Islam, it will work. Right? As long as it's just a tiny trickle of people, and you can make credible threats against them, it will work. But when there's a avalanche of apostasy, when the floodgates have opened, when the tsunami is taking over your community, guess what? You no longer have any power to intimidate people, because there's too many people. There's too many people leaving Islam for you to do anything about it. And that's the reality. And you know why? Because the internet, free speech, facts are greater than a law.
I bet you will never tell a lie about Pakistanis ever again. LOL. Little kafir pig, you are a liar. You helped the Zionists and EDL. I haven't helped the Zionists and EDL. I've never gone to a protest. I don't know Tommy Robinson. With all your Zionist friends on YouTube, you helped them wage war on kids in Gaza. I haven't done anything. I don't know what you're talking about. I've always condemned it. I hope these Pakistanis in the UK slap the fuck out of you. Yeah, don't talk ever again. You trouble causer, you Zionist pig. Thank God you're crying. You made a lot of children in Gaza cry. What are you talking about? I've got nothing to do with Gaza. I've never supported any kind of war. So this is ridiculous. And then another person, LOL says, Lubna, you live in the UK. There is 10,000 of Pakistanis.
This is a different person, right? There are two of them. So all those comments were from one person. Now there's a second person in the chat as well.
And Muslims, and all you have done is lie about them for the past 1 year. And did you expect what's going to happen to you? And then you invited Zionists on your channel who promoted deaths of children. Please don't act all innocent. Now you have blood on your hands.
So this other person, there's 10,000 of us. There's 10,000 of us in the UK. You really think you were going to get away with this? It's all about numbers. This is what Islam has always been about. It's always been about numbers and power. When you don't have enough people in the area, you pretend to be peaceful. You pretend to be friendly. But as soon as you get that tiny little sliver of power, and 10,000 people in the UK is not a lot. I mean, they're referring specifically to Pakistani community, but not a lot in the comparison to the total population. But it's enough that they feel that they have enough power that they can intimidate anyone they want, make anyone they want back down. This is Islam. Islam is a system of political power, of intimidation, of destroying anyone who opposes it. It has nothing to do with morality, nothing to do with honesty, nothing to do with what we would call religious values as Christians. It is about power and power only. That is what Islam is.
Oh my God, my channel is open to everybody. Muslims have come on my channel as well. Jewish people come as well. Christians come as well. Atheists come as well. Hindus come as well. Sikhs come as well. So this is what I'm saying. What the reality of what I've done and what they see is, oh, Jewish person is here. Israeli is here. Okay, that's it. You know, like, it's completely crazy. All the Muslims that support my channel, they don't see that. When I condemn any kind of war on both sides, and they don't see that. They just, it's completely. Then this person goes on to say, blood on your hands, Lubna. What are you talking about? You better shut your mouth now. Keep your mouth shut, Lubna. You don't live in Israel. You live in the United Kingdom of Islam. You won't get away with mocking dead.
The United Kingdom of Islam, right? That's what this person in the chat is describing the UK as. The United Kingdom of Islam. At least from this person's perspective, they feel like they've already won. That they've already taken over the UK. UK is a Muslim nation now. It's an Islamic nation. You can't get away with criticizing Islam or even saying comments that are remotely critical of Islam here in this Islamic country of the United Kingdom. Again, political power. He's not saying you made false arguments, your arguments were bad, this isn't true Islam, you misrepresented the religion, and here's all the hadith to prove it. No, he's saying we have enough power to shut you up, and so get out of here. That's what he's saying.
Babies, and I've never mocked dead babies in Gaza. Are you completely crazy? It's just like, I'm just like shocked. This is exactly why I don't even want to continue with this life. They're completely crazy people. I have never I've never mocked children's death in Gaza. That's the most stupidest, crazy thing someone can make up about me. That's just stupid.
Yeah, no, they're just making things up at this point.
It's okay. I'm gonna have to take you off the stage because they see you as someone who's Israeli Jewish, and they're trying to come after me for some stupid reason.
So this woman comes up and she's like, "You've been an encouragement to me. You've been supportive."
Mm-hmm.
And the morons, the cowards, the pathetic losers in the chat are like, "She looks like an Israeli Jew to me. Get her off the stream." And what does Lubna do? She says, "I'm sorry, but I got to take you off. This is about my life. This is about my safety."
Again, you can't let people bully you like that. It will never stop. It won't stop.
Like I said, they sense that they have power over her, and they are going to continue to push that as long if she continues the channel and she's just talking about UK politics. You really think they're going to stop coming after her? No, they're going to come after her and be like, you need to be openly supportive of everything that we want or else, right? Especially now that they think they can bully her into saying whatever they want her to say.
It's fine. I'm just gonna go now. Like, I can't. I've screenshot your messages, by the way. This is the mentality. I've never said anything bad about Gaza, for God's sake. Jesus Christ, seriously. It's just complete.
Weird stuff says, so what if she was an Israeli Joe? Yeah, I mean, that shouldn't be a reason to shut someone up and kick them off the stream just because they are Jewish. But as Demon's Soul says, they hate you so much. I mean, the terrorist attack and the resulting retribution by Israel, I don't even want to call it a war. That would imply that they're two sides of equal strength or something. But the situation in Gaza, Israel, Palestine, whatever you want to say, has really, really revealed where all these Western Muslims' loyalty really lies, right? It's not in the United States or the United Kingdom. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of people who are, culturally Muslim, identifies Muslim in some extent, that don't really care about the Israeli response to the terrorist attack. But by and large, and certainly vocally, it's all about how this is utterly evil. This is the worst thing in the history of the universe. If you're not 100% of the time saying how evil Israel is, then you are a Zionist pig, and we hate you. We hate the United States. We hate the United Kingdom. We hate anyone who is remotely friendly to Israel in any way. Why? Because we have a pathetic loser inferiority complex, because we look at the world and we see that we're the best of all people, and yet there's 1.8 billion of us, and we can't accomplish shit in the world. We can't do crap because we're following Muhammad's teachings, and Muhammad's teachings are horrible. They lead to backward societies that accomplish nothing for humanity. And then we look at these tiny, tiny, tiny number of Jews in the world, less than 1% of the world's population, and we see how much they've accomplished, right? How much Jewish people have accomplished and how much they've advanced human society. And we feel like this is an insult to Allah because we're supposed to be the best of the people, and that's not the reality of the world. And because you're so inferior, because your societies are so crappy and pathetic and disgusting, because you're following the teachings of Muhammad, an ignorant moron from the 7th century, you take it out on the Jewish people. Rant over. Unless Mary.
Yeah, I think a lot more of it has to do with the fact that they always need
Who ate the apple?
The end come? When Muhammad claimed that the end was about to come, the end was about to come, they keep moving the goalpost. And now the end hasn't come because they haven't killed all the Jews yet. So now they're focused on killing all the Jews. Because everything else failed. So what else needs to be left in the list of things they need to do? And so that's what they're focused on. That's why they really irrationally hate the Jewish state. That and the fact that it was the most recent part of the Islamic territory to be made no longer Islamic. That's the other reason. So, yeah. If Israel fell, then next it would be Spain.
Oh,
that's basically it.
I mean, yeah, that's good point, right? That part of it is the lost territory, right? And we're supposed to lose territory. Islam's just supposed to advance infinitely, even though, of course, Muhammad said that Islam would shrink back into nothing, like a snake crawling into its hole. Best description of Islam ever by Muhammad there, a snake crawling into its hole. Even though he predicted that, because Islam's actually about political power, because it's actually about numbers and feeling superior by threatening people when you have larger numbers, they can't take the fact that they've lost territory. And you're right, Spain would be next in line. The portions of India that were controlled by Muslim armies in the past, those would be on the chopping block as well. Let me take a super chat from Renee.
We're asking you to give a loan to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and believe me, that will be paid back in ways you can never imagine.
Who is it that would loan Allah a goodly loan so he may multiply it for him many times over?
Allahu Akbar. I love that verse. Every time we donate to projects, we're giving a loan to our Creator, the most generous, who will return it to us in this life.
Brothers and sisters, can you afford to miss out on this opportunity?
Can you afford to miss out? I think that scream in the background there was Muhammad Hijab, as his career is falling apart. My judgment for the guy who makes hijab a laughing stock for revealing his audio scam. You hear? Yes, it's not you see, it's you hear. Thank you very much for that. And I really enjoyed that super chat. When I originally saw it come in, I laughed at it. So if you heard me laugh inappropriately earlier, it was probably at this comment because of the you hear at the end. Let me take one more super chat. This one from Victor.
Sir, how can we contribute financially for your organization? They get in touch with me. And very easy, people know where I am. And once they get in touch with me, to contribute without causing problem, to contribute in big amounts. And many people call me for lunch and for dinner and for meal, and for every meal they give big amounts, alhamdulillah. So those who really want to contribute, they come and meet me.
Victor didn't leave a comment. So I got the default text there that says, thank you for your donation. Thank you, Victor, for your donation. And remember, if you want to donate bigger amounts, Zakir Naik is waiting to have lunch with you. All right, let's finish up this video from Lubna. It's just 40 seconds left.
Really? I'm just gonna go, guys. Okay, just gonna go because I've never said anything like that. Sadly, what I've done and what they hear is completely different. And I think that no amount of communication, reasoning, they're not gonna understand. Okay. Anyway, so what I'd like to say is I wish these people well. I wish the Pakistani community well. I wish the Muslim community well. Good luck. I'm not gonna bother talking about you guys again. But making up lies, dangerous lies, it's very, very I don't know why you're making stuff up. I've never said any of that stuff that you're saying. Anyways, good luck, guys. That's it. I'm going by.
So she says she doesn't know why they made up these lies about her. And I think she's being genuine. She really has no clue why someone would act this way. However, I think Mary and I do know why people would act this way, because Allah encourages it.
Yep. Yep. She is, by speaking about it, she is making Islam look bad. And this is genuine Islam. So this behavior is Islamic, and she's saying it isn't. And so she's causing fitna and all the rest of this. She needs to just be quiet while they rape girls until they can eventually take over. And then she will be put in a hijab and won't be able to open her mouth anymore anyway. So
that's if she's lucky, right? They might just gang rape her and kill her.
Yep.
Is Allah poor that he needs a loan? Yes, he is. Allah is very, very poor.
And I'm leaving in 4 minutes, everybody. But Thaddeus will probably stay on.
Yep, I'm going to stay on a little bit, take some audience comments and some super chats before we wrap up. So final thoughts from you, Mary?
My final thoughts are this was entirely predictable, but also I do think that she was genuine in that she showed her face while she was doing all of this. She might have been more disingenuous in terms of like knowing what Islam actually teaches, et cetera, et cetera. If she had been, she would have hidden her face. Like the fact that she made herself vulnerable shows that she really thought that what she was saying at least could be true or could be believed by people to be true. But it's not. This is Islam. This is what Islam teaches that you should do to people who are outside of the house of surrender. The people in the house of war, you must war against them however you can, in whatever way you can. And so all behaviors that are acceptable in war are acceptable against them, in Islamic war specifically. And certainly raping girls is acceptable in Islamic war.
You have no power here, jihadis. We can go with that. We can go with that. Super chat from Ellie. Thank you for joining us today, Mary. And we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Yep. And it's funny because people are talking about how you look like David Wood, but David Wood only very briefly had the long hair. I don't know how long it is now. I can't really tell. I haven't paid that much attention. But Thaddeus was the OG longer hair guy, and then David caught up with him and then cut everything off for the video. But we will find out how much his wife liked the hair as to where the hair ends up in the end, because David predicted that she would decide that it was horrible. But we will see what she actually feels in a moment.
So Professor Yoffel asked who is Fabio. I saw a couple other comments along those lines. Fabio is a male model from the 80s who was famous for his long hair. Maybe 90s, 80s, 90s, somewhere around there is when he was at the height of popularity, but he's famous for his long hair. So it's kind of borderline whether it's an insult or a compliment, but I'm taking it as a compliment. Weird Stuff says Thaddeus has long hair for the last year or so. I know, I've seen it grow. Yep, exactly. I'm building up my strength, right? Because I can't cut my hair or I'll lose all my strength, I think is how it goes. Super chat from Eli.
I can't answer this question in a 20-minute interview, nor is it wise to do so, which is why I never brought this topic up myself. You will not find one lecture of mine about this issue. It should never be brought up in public. And I don't like these idiots, and they are idiots, wallahi. This is not something you discuss amongst the masses, ya akhi. It's not wise. I encourage anybody who is really interested to go deep to take the class. I do this class. It'll be 1 year later.
This might be the most appropriate comment for Yasser Qadi there, talking about how it's dangerous to say things in public. It's not wise to say things in public. This is something we don't talk about. What should we not talk about? She has been raised by good people who happen to be adherents of the religion of peace. This is why she's having a hard time seeing the evil in it. It's very, very unwise to talk about the evil you see in Islam, especially if you are a Muslim, as Lubna has learned. It's very unwise. But the lesson here, right? The lesson here isn't that we should be quiet, that people like her should be quiet, that Muslims should not criticize their own community. The lesson here is that we need more people doing this, right? We need more people who are willing to stand up to these cowards so that it stops working. When the Charlie Hebdo cartoon attack happened, there were some people who were like, we should stop doing this. And that's exactly what happened after previous attacks on cartoon drawings of Muhammad. The papers backed down, they apologized, people moved on and pretended it never happened. After Charlie Hebdo, something different happened. What was the response of nearly every news organization in the world and the public at large? Well, the news organizations decided we need to publish these same comics. So they were published in hundreds of papers around the world. What was the response of people at large? We need to start drawing Muhammad. And you'll notice that this has become somewhat normalized. Muslims might complain mildly about it, but they no longer commit to acts of violence against people who draw Muhammad. And that's what we need to do. We need to show that there's too many of us for their intimidation tactics to work. And that is what I intend to do. And Villainous was spamming the holes in the narrative. Indeed, he was. So he put a whole bunch of holes into the stream by putting them into chat first. Shame on you, Villainous. Super chat from Ida.
Early, and this is indeed a sign, yet most of them are not believers. Give alone to Allah, give alone to Allah. Ride the wings of Gabriel, give alone to Allah.
It says Islam loves death and violence. I really wish it would be different. And you don't have to take Ida's word for it. You don't have to take my word for it, because I have a special guest who will tell you all about that.
We love death.
love death. Islam loves death. The context of that quote, it was made first by one of the early leaders of Islam, spreading Islam by the sword. It says, our enemies, they love life, but we have an advantage. We have an advantage over them because when we go into battle, we love death. We want to die when we go into battle, whereas they want to live. So we have an advantage in war. And that example, that phrase has been quoted by thousands, probably millions, maybe even billions of Muslims over Islam's history. It's quoted by every terrorist, and it's quoted by apologists like Muhammad Hijab there. We love death. Muslims love to die because our religion's all about death. Well, that and sex. Also from Ida.
Can you just imagine giving £100 and it's a sadaqah jariyah, meaning it carries on going even when you are gone? Just imagine being in your grave and getting the rewards in your grave. You will not be able to come back to this video to donate. So why not donate now?
It says, what a different world it would be if they loved life more than death. It would be a very different world because that would be a very different religion than what Islam teaches. Pat says that's only in the U.S., the drawing Muhammad thing, because the risk of getting shot here is high, so you're lucky if you don't get arrested for drawing Muhammad. I certainly don't know what the situation is in every society, but I'm pretty confident that it's less dangerous, even if it's still dangerous, in every society than it was before Charlie Hebdo. And by the way, criticism of Islam is tolerated a lot more in the Middle East than in European nations. It's very weird. Like books that are banned in, say, France because they're too offensive to Muslims are openly sold in Saudi Arabia. Weird stuff. Weird stuff. Anyway, got a couple more super chats, but first, this message from Malhid al-Islam. Stop lying. It was not Mominin who showed up at her door. It was Danae King, and she was there for her story. Yes, it was Danae King, the reporter who got me fired, was there to get Lubna's story so she could get her fired from her non-existent job since she'd already quit it. I think you're probably right there. It was probably Danae King. It was knocking, and she just got scared. Let's continue. This is a super chat from Misha SWB.
It was the Mike Jin that made her say this. For the Haikuma is weak and she cannot defend against Mike Jin. Only Izara is the known cure. Anonymous Mufti confirms the Mike Jin is persuasive.
As you heard there, the ape apologist read the message for you. And if you want the ape apologist to read your super chats, just put ape in parentheses at the start of your message, and he'll say whatever you want him to say. And I agree, it was definitely the Mike Jins that were at play here. Which, by the way, how is my audio today? I asked at the start of the stream to keep an eye on it. Let me know if it was better, worse, the same as usual, because I'm trying out a entirely different setup, or at least mostly different setup on the audio today. So let me know how my audio has been today, so I can, and I'll play back my own video and make my own judgments, but I'd like to get your feedback as well. I must check out Google images of Muhammad. Yeah, do that. Go to Google Images or Bing Images or any other image site and just search for cartoons of Muhammad. You'll find there is plenty of them. Very good audio, perfect audio as well. Audio is mostly good. Awesome. Very good. I'm glad to hear that. I've been working on my setup now that I'm doing this full time. I want the stream to be higher quality. So I'm glad that the changes seem to have paid off, at least for today. At least for today. Super chat from Ida.
من ذا الذي يقرض الله قرضا حسنا? Who is going to give Allah a good loan? Ya akhwati, this verse puts shame in my heart. My Lord is asking for a loan. Nothing's wrong with that guy. He has ability, but only a little bit of cash flow problems. Just needs a little bit of money right now. So give to Allah. Don't ask for anything back, guys.
Don't ask for anything back. Well, you can ask me to read your super chat, though. So it says Islam is also spread by lies, which is a very good point. Well, sort of. Sort of a very good point. They certainly attempt to spread Islam by lies. Islam is the religion of peace. Islam is a feminist religion. Islam is a religion of science, and so on and so forth. And they do convince a lot of people to convert for that reason. However, they also lose 80%, 75%, 80%. I've seen numbers like this for many, many years. More than half within the first year, by the way. So like they lose more than half of converts within the first year of them being Muslims. And long term, they lose 70, 80% of converts, which means they're actually creating a lot of ex-Muslims. And ex-Muslims are very dangerous to Islam. Why? Well, if you convert to Islam and then you decide to leave it, you did not have a good experience, right? This is not just something you do casually. You don't just be like, I'm going to change my religion today. Tomorrow I'll change my shirt, and the day after I'll cut my hair. No, that's not it, right? Changing your religion is a very big deal. So if you were tricked into converting to Islam and you realize you were tricked and you realize that the actual religion is crap, you're probably going to be pretty upset about it. So those ex-Muslims they're creating are a lot more dangerous than they were before they converted to Islam and then converted back out of Islam. So what they're really doing by spreading Islam by lies, which I'm not denying they're not trying to do, is they're spreading their own demise with their lies. The best they can hope for in their dawah game is to convince Muslims not to leave Islam. I don't think that they have any chance whatsoever of gaining more converts than they lose through dawah. Christoph with a super chat.
Sir, how can we contribute financially for your organization? They get in touch with me. And very easy, people know where I am. And once they get in touch with me to contribute without causing problem, to contribute in big amounts. And many people call me for lunch and for dinner and for meal, and for every meal they give big amounts, alhamdulillah. So those who really want to contribute, they come and meet me.
So Christoph says, Abu Laif said that Israel was totally evil, but also that the Palestinians should do a deal with them to be paid to leave, and it would save lives. So he didn't even say, as I imagined he might have said, something like, there's lots of wrong going around and we should work towards peace, but like literally said that Israel is evil, but it's in their own best interest for Palestine to cut a deal. And that was enough for him to be attacked. And not by one crazy individual, by the way, by a whole mob of people. There's video of it. It was like between 5 and 10 guys show up at his house, start throwing rocks, break his window, and then kick down the door and are going around, where's Abu Laif? Where's Abu Laif? So apparently that's enough. And why is that enough? Because the only thing that's acceptable to the Muslim mindset, the reason Palestine even exists in the first place, is because they once occupied the land, so they must occupy the land again. If this had been any other situation when the state of Israel was created, the Muslim people who didn't want to live under Israeli control would have simply left the country. And in fact, people did want to leave the country. Every single Muslim nation rejected any refugees from Palestine or Israel. They said, you have to stay there because it is our right to control that land. So they would not allow the poor people who were just trying to escape and get a better life for themselves, or a life that they would find more acceptable for themselves. The Muslim nations refused to take them in because it would be insulting to Islam, it'd be insulting to Muhammad, it'd be insulting to Allah for the land to be allowed to be under anyone else's control. Islam is a religion of political power, nothing else. Christoph also said they might be bad apples, but there are thousands of apples. Very creative use of the apple there, Christoph. I like it. Jack Ray gifted 10 reasoned answers memberships.
If you want your wealth to increase in this dunya, then give sadaqah more and more every single day. 2 angels come down, one of them is making dua for those who give. He says, Ya Allah, give those who give.
Thank you very much for those gifted memberships. We'll try to have a members only live stream this weekend. If you haven't received a gifted membership from Jack Ray, I encourage you to sign up for one. You'll get to participate in members only live streams, which are, they're not teaching, right? All of the teaching content, all of the content designed to reach Muslims is public and free and always will be. But in the members only live streams, we get to hang out and chill together. I talk strategy. I talk about things that I'm working on, things that are upcoming. So become a member for that, or become a member to use any of our beautiful, beautiful emojis. We got the reasoned answers emoji, the happy cat emoji, the dog scared of the Quran emoji. We got Thaddeus Scientist emoji, Mary Ninja emoji. We got no Qurans emoji. We got Ali Dawah being graped in the mouth emoji. We got Sheikh Ibn Ketchup emoji. We got the halal sticker emoji, inspired also by Sheikh Uthman, who said there are no halal markers in the original Quran. No dietary markers, but halal is what that would mean, of course. And then we got the boy emoji, and we got the friendly relationship emoji. We got the hungry goat emoji. We got the 2 right hands emoji. We got the dual carnane emoji, the leather straps, eyes are the leather straps emoji. We got the straw man emoji, inspired by Sifi. We got the false emoji. We got the Barack emoji. We got the Miracle 19 emoji. We have UC. And then we have 2 famous portraits of Muhammad. So we got lots of emojis. In fact, we had so many emojis, it wouldn't let me send them all at once. So there you go. Lots and lots of emojis to enjoy if you become a channel member. Thank you very much for that, Jack Ray. A mosque from bacon. You wouldn't be able to tell an emoji size. That was a mosque made of bacon. But that's pretty humorous. Mm-hmm. Based emojis. All right, next message here from Tommy earlier, the Muslim in the chat who ended up getting timed out. Who is Mary? Is he new liar? So Tommy has been watching this channel for a long time, allegedly, complaining how I never respond to him for a long time, and yet somehow he doesn't know who Mary is. Very genuine Muslim there. A Apple triggering from the weird stuff. They claim that Israel is evil, yet the most atrocities have been committed by the most devout followers of Muhammad, and they call them Islamists. Unbelievable. Yeah, something like, well, first of all, contrary to what atheists claim, nearly all wars in world history are not motivated by religion and have nothing to do with religion. But of the 5 to 10% of wars in world history that are motivated by religion, all but like 3 of them are motivated by Islam. Islam has like a 97% rate of religious triggered wars. I wonder why. I mean, I think it's just a few bad apples, right? It's just a few people who don't understand Islam and don't know that it's the religion of peace. Except that the first one was triggered by Muhammad, the perfect understander of Islam. And all that. Thank you very much for using the apple. You can't use my emojis, weird stuff. Why not? Are you a channel member? I think you are. No, you're not a channel member. Oh, that's why. You can't use them. All right. Next message.
But the people are righteous. Todar oro. Bafina.
Because you changed the A to avoid YouTube censoring it. The text to speech had no idea what to do with that. But I'll go ahead and read it. So from Pat's Leather Straps, but the people are retarded, like my parents. Sounds about right. Sounds about right. Thank you for using the ape apologist for that. Yeah, it doesn't. It apparently didn't know what to do with the accented A there, so it just like went crazy and read like some random nonsense. I'll look at the log and see what it understood that. Hey, good point from Truthfire. With all these emojis, you can build your own Allah. 2 right hands, 1 leg, 1 foot, 1 ear, 2 eyes, and a black heart. Yep, I have to agree. I have to agree. All right. Probably the last super chat here from Jack Ray.
I did it all for the nicker. Come on, the nicker. Come on so you can take that cookie.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good there by the ape apologist. I did it all for the nicker. I did it all for the nicker. Think that is definitely right. And by nikah, of course, we mean sexual intercourse, not marriage. Because 1, that's literally what the word means. It means sexual intercourse. There isn't a Arabic word for marriage, but it's not nikah. And the actual purpose of getting married is to have sex, to legalize sex. That is the only difference between being married and not married in Islam, is the legalization of sex. Of course, many Muslim men are decent human beings and treat their wife with respect and have a real relationship, something special. However, that's not what the religion prescribes. The religion just says this is legalized sex. And in Muhammad Hijab's case, that's all it was to him for sure. Nikah is the new N-word. Well, then I'm just going to say it a lot. Nikah, nikah, nikah. And maybe I shouldn't have said that fast. That almost sounded like a different N-word. Yeah, so zawaj. Zawaj is the actual Islamic word for marriage. And in modern Arabic, it does often take on a vulgar tone to it. Nikah, out of the context of a nikah contract, of course, takes on a vulgar context. However, it's not by nature. When Islam was being formed, it was just a neutral term for sexual intercourse. It has devolved into being a vulgar or curse word because of, well, what Islam's all about. DD says the level of this ignorance in this chat is outstanding. Cool. Your evidence would be what exactly? If you're referring to nikah, look at an Arabic dictionary. I'm not making this up. And if you actually know Arabic, then I'm sure that you would say to a friend, I want to nikah with your sister, right? No? Okay. So, Mr. DD, I'm wrapping up here. But if you want to have a chat and reveal all my lies and all my ignorance, you can find my email listed in the video description. And I will be happy to have a chat on whatever topic you want. I know you just came in. But your timing was very bad because I was literally in the process of saying goodbye. Next time, or anytime you like, email me, set it up. Let's have a chat. But for now, I do need to log off. I'll be back in an hour and a half for a Bible study on the Reason to Worship channel. And I can't remember if I set that up. So actually, let me just double check real quick that I set this stream up to redirect to that. When this stream ends, you should be redirected over there. It won't be for an hour and a half. So if you're interested in that, set a reminder for it and come back when you get the reminder. It'll be an hour and a half. I got to eat dinner and stuff. And then we'll have a very nice Bible study. We'll be looking at Jesus describing his followers as sheep, which then leads directly into Psalm 23 being part of the discussion. And we will be discussing the power of God demonstrated by Peter in the book of Acts, where praying in Jesus's name brings someone back to life. We'll have a discussion with Mary later in the week. I'm not sure exactly the date and time of that yet, but Mary will be back sometime next week. DD says, I'll bring my friend Muslim Lantern. By all means, let's have the Muslim Lantern come and talk to me. I don't think that your friend, the Muslim Lantern, is going to be interested, but hey, if he's interested, by all means, I'd love to talk to the Muslim Lantern. Pick his topic and we'll have a nice discussion on it. Okay. Email or call, whatever, your good buddy Muslim Lantern. Have him contact me via email and we'll set up that discussion on whatever topic he wants to discuss. That will be very fun. I'll be back sometime this weekend. I'm going to try to have a members only live stream. I'm also looking at possibly streaming on Hassan Piker, who, if you're not familiar with, he is a left-wing political streamer, one of the most famous streamers in the world. He comes from a Muslim background, doesn't identify as Muslim, but he recently had a debate on Israel-Palestine situation and made some very, very unhinged remarks. So we'll be looking at how he's the ultimate dhimmi, basically, how even though he doesn't identify as a Muslim, he is absolutely feels himself subdued and subject to the Islamic mindset. So we'll be doing a stream on that in the near future as well. Have a scripted video on an update on my legal situation coming out in the next couple days. I recorded that last week. I put it on hold while I was trying to get everyone up to date on the Muhammad hijab situation. That video, of course, is now out. It was out yesterday. So next on my list is editing my update to my legal situation. So look for that in the next few days as well. Until we meet again, God bless everyone. Have an amazing day, an amazing evening if your day is coming to an end. And perhaps I'll see you in an hour and a half on the Reasoned Worship channel. As per tradition, we'll close out with a prayer from Pastor Jake.
Pray this ceaselessly. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me.